All right, how about now? Oh, I can hear it on my own shit. Ooh, that's an infinite loop. All right. Is it clear at least? I just realized that I'm going to be making a lot of terrible noises, and I didn't want the other microphone to pick up everything. Awesome. I wish there was a way to make this chat. Is there a way to make this thing bigger? I want to be able to read it from across the room, but I don't think that that's a reality. Oh, yeah, there we go. Sorry, guys. Seems like a thing I could have tested for ahead of time, but I'm going to be honest, and I didn't. So, Sten probably knows about that from the podcast days. Test it later, it'll be fine. All right. This is, of course, a live Q&A. I guess I could get in front of the camera. This is a live Q&A, but it's also to do custom masking. I'm just doing, I thought about different ways of doing this, and I decided doing it with black would not be ideal because it's boring, and I like to do stuff that doesn't suck. But, sorry, don't mind me. I realized that on camera, like, black's going to show up the best. So I'm going to show two different ways. This is going to apply to almost any types of colors. The only things that, I mean, you got to be aware that some colors don't mix. You literally can't mix certain colors together. They don't blend well. The chemical reaction that happens will cause bleeding of one color into the other. Sometimes you can't stack colors, like yellows. You can't typically stack something, a yellow over like a blue or a red. Just like you can't stack black over orange. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that. It turns like a super bright green, like an alien green color, but not very consistently, not like in a cool way. So that there's a lot of learning to do, like trial and error as far as colors go. But like I said, for the most part, this is going to work for what I would say a majority of you guys want to do if you're a powder coater. You'll have to pardon me, I'm going to keep walking out of this a little bit. And then I'm going to try my best to see or to answer questions. If you guys have questions, pop them up, and I'll try to get to them. And I enabled something called Super Chat. Totally forgot about this. So Super Chat basically allows, say you guys are asking a question and I'm not seeing it for some reason, if the chat does end up moving fairly quickly at some point. Apparently you can pay money, and I'm not saying that you should pay me to answer your question by any means, but if you pay money, it like highlights it and it holds it to where I'll see it. Like I said, it's not a thing. I don't even know what it is. YouTube asked if I wanted to turn it on. I said yes, and then I read about it. So it is what it is. The logos that we're going to do today, I assume that these are going to show up fairly well. So this is just this little Lego Stormtrooper logo. It's super generic, and I'm not even into Star Wars. I just had this file sitting. And then some UKC logos, this unknown coding stuff. I'm going to do one like kind of ghost image, and then I'm going to do one that's black and white. I'm going to use this Ford Power Stroke valve cover to do the black and white one, the Stormtrooper shenanigans. I'm going to show you guys how to go through that, and then the other one I wanted to do kind of like a ghost image of sorts. I don't know if that's a real thing, but it's basically going to be a black valve cover, and then I'm going to do the masking with the logo and spray just like a transparent. I'm going to do a silver sparkle. It's a silver sparkles in a clear over top of that in the process. So it has there'll be a logo on it that is fairly noticeable, but it's not really obvious. It's not gonna be like this one where it's black and white and crazy over the top. So a lot of people like little subtle logos. I've had people ask me to put my logo on a valve cover, but in a subtle way, and I don't want to do like a sticker on a valve cover because I think it looks tacky. So this will just be a way for you guys to do that. Don't mind me. Who said cool shirt? Oh, Stan. Hey, thanks, Sten. Just shrinking this chat up to the side so I can hopefully see the rest of this. Oh wait, why is Super Chat giant in both windows? Oh, okay, there we go. Tylen, I have a thing of shirts being designed. Well, we've been going back and forth about the design. So I have a set of shirts that soon enough will be available. And apparently now lets me sell merch. So they'll be added to that, and then they'll be going on my website as well. All right, got 2 moderators in here. Not that we need it, because I'm sure you guys will be super civil. All right, so the basics for custom masking are actually much simpler than I think most people understand. I get asked about this all the time. I mean, literally, I get asked about this probably 4 or 5 times a week in different capacities, whether it's through YouTube messages, or YouTube comments rather, Instagram, Facebook, emails. I had somebody text me. I had somebody text my personal cell phone the other day. That was weird because I don't know where that number was out. But the process is actually really simple. You're going to need to start with a sticker. As far as the vinyl, I use Oracal 651. That is my go-to no matter what. There are other vinyls. You can use like a higher quality, theoretically a higher quality vinyl. Like the 751 from Oracal or a 951. 951 I wouldn't recommend necessarily for doing this, but you could if you had to. 651 seems like it stays intact when it gets warm a little bit better than 751 or some of the high performance vinyls. And it's cheap and it's accessible literally everywhere. You can also use like some of the 3M stuff if you want to go that route. This is just, like I said, Oracal 651. And then you're going to need to cut a sticker or have somebody cut a sticker. I know a lot of you guys don't necessarily have plotters. If you're going to get a plotter, if you're just looking to go cheap and buy a plotter, you can buy like I think it's like a 30-inch US cutter. I want to say it's like an MK 840. If you just type US cutter plotter online, you'll find it anywhere. You can buy those for like $300 shipped with accessories. So you don't have to learn anything special. You can import a file. It'll trace it for you. Sorry, I'm reading some of these questions. Color Factory, gun comparison video I just started doing. I finally assembled all the different machines as far as their setups go. It's going to be, I'm going to start recording it at the end of this coming week, but it's going to take a while to record. So one of the things I wanted to tell you guys, I'm actually going to be doing 3 videos a week and a live thing every week from now on. I know you guys keep asking for more content, and I figured I can do at least 3 videos a week. Plus a live, so I figure 4 videos. The lives are always going to be Q&A. Rarely am I going to be wanting to like walk through some of this stuff, but if we get enough interest in a topic, I'll definitely do that. I just know like there's some other powder coating channels that are doing less content, and now I'm being asked to do more, so I'm just going to go that route. So I figured 4 videos is probably plenty. Anyway, so back to this, you get a sticker. Like I said, you can cut your own, or you can go have some made. You can buy a sticker. The only risk in buying a sticker is you don't know what the vinyl is, and there's a lot of cheap stickers that you can buy in places that use like not even a low quality vinyl, but it'll be like a metallized vinyl, for example, and you're definitely not going to want to use something like that for this. Most of the vinyls that actually are metal, which do exist, like stickers that are made of metal, they actually break and tear when you get them warm even a little bit. So I'm sure you guys have seen that. You put one of those like cool, oil slick stickers onto a car window, and then a year later it's all cracked and weird looking. That's usually just from the heat. So take a sticker. Not a masking question. It's powder coat or IPA, powder coat over chrome wheels without blasting. Colton's dad. So yeah, you can do it. If it depends on the look they're going for. So if say you're shooting a transparent color and you're going to go over a chrome wheel, yeah, then absolutely. You don't want to blast the chrome no matter what, because if you're doing a transparent, it's going to show. Let me adjust this camera too. I actually get this question quite a bit as well, but it's you know, if you're shooting, say you're shooting a, you know, candy red, just as an example, anything transparent, and you're relying on the chrome base, then yeah, don't blast it. Now the issue that you're gonna have there, your adhesion, much lower. You're gonna end up, your impact resistance is much lower, but every other aspect of powder is gonna be just as good. So your chemical resistance, UV resistance, things of that nature, are not gonna be affected by the base coat underneath. Now, if you're just shooting black over top of it, no, blast it. In fact, I won't even blast. If it's a brand new chrome wheel, I'll blast it. But if there's any pitting of any kind, I always tell people to have them chrome stripped. You know, locally it costs me about $50 a wheel to chrome strip it, and that takes it all the way down to bare aluminum. That's the only way that I'll do it and warranty my work. If you ask me to shoot over chrome that is not brand new, I won't warranty it at all. So, you know, a lot of people don't want to spend that extra $200, but anybody who cares enough is probably going to. Let's see. Wicked powder is, I assume you're asking about the vinyl? Just gloss. Most of the matte colors, like there's not a ton of matte colors available in 651 anyway, and they're ugly. Not that it matters. One of the other things I should mention, when you're using vinyl, you typically are going to want to use a vinyl that does not match your base coat or your top coat. You guys will see us kind of get into that as we go, but it just makes it easier to see. That's the only difference. It's not like you're going to have like a real issue seeing it, but if you have the option to get other vinyl colors, you might as well just get something that's different. I stock, I don't know, 10, 12 colors, something like that. So anyway, you take a sticker, and it's really this simple. I'm going to try to do this. I was trying to figure out different ways of setting up the camera to make this work, but you got, you know, this is just mirror black. It's partially cured. I let this go to flow out, and then I think I waited on this 4 more minutes or 7. It was 7 more minutes. Sorry, I did 2 different ones, and now I'm getting them mixed up. So I let this one go to flow out. This is just like a garbage. Can you guys hear okay now? Hopefully, maybe. All right. Sorry, I don't know what the audio quality is going to be like with this one, so I apologize ahead of time. I guess at least it's working, so that's what matters. To whoever was asking if I do this by myself, yes. I have a friend who comes in and sandblasts, we'll say. And sounds like I'll be training somebody else to be doing some powder coating this week. So I have surgery coming up, kind of went over that in the last live. I'm not gonna be able to do anything for about 2 weeks. So in an effort to still get some stuff done, we're gonna go that route with it. Let's see, oh, and how big is the shop? The shop's 3,200 square feet, but I have 1,000 square foot of showroom area. So like the shop area itself is 2,200 square feet. Business making custom powder coated tumblers. Yeah, Blooming, that's as much as I like to give tumbler coaters crap because I've done it forever, it has nothing to do with tumbler coaters. It's like a long powder, like an old school powder coating joke. But yeah, there's lots of people that make custom tumblers in this exact same way. So anyway, you got your sticker and your partially cured part, whatever it might be. Valve cover. This is the same way I do it on brake calipers. I've done some other, let's see if I can grab these. I've done some boards. There was a set of Louis Vuitton wheels that I did. Ironically, they were like MB Battles on a 300ZX, but if you type in Louis Vuitton wheels in a search, it almost always comes up. They were black and gold. And I did those, I mean, way before the tumbler craze even happened. I mean, that's how long ago it was. It was probably 2010. And I did stuff like this, where it's just like a zebra stripe type shenanigans. This one is affected by color, sort of. So this one is, the light areas that you see are a heavy silver. Speedway black is all the dark areas. And then I shot Cortez teal over the entire thing. This was just for testing. This Velcro is actually broken. I did no masking on this. This was just to see if I could do this. More or less back in the day, somebody said that you couldn't do this, and I disagreed, we'll say. You'll find that I do a lot of projects like that where somebody says you can't do that with powder. So throw this back down. The Louis Vuitton wheels were pretty popular. They were kind of all over the internet. They got internet famous, so to speak. But same process, like I said, doesn't matter what the part is. So you want to minimize, obviously, the touching of your part, especially partially cured powder. We're going to be spraying more powder over top of. But we're just going to throw this logo down, literally wherever. Hopefully I get this semi-straight. I'm trying to keep my big head out of the shop, but. And I suggest doing this with your finger, not doing this part of it with a squeegee. The reason is, if you get a little wild with the squeegee, you can, first of all, you can dent partially cured powder with a squeegee for sure. Leave a mark in it. It'll probably flow back out and be fine. But if it's not, that's a bummer for everybody, right? So if you just go over it with your finger, you don't have to worry about slipping off the edge. You don't have to worry about hitting down too hard. I mean, unless you have some wild fingers, or you got some of them cool nails that people are into. You got a Coke nail on every hand, so to speak. Make sure that your sticker's all the way down, and then you want to make sure that one of your edges is left up, because like I said, you don't want to be touching this partially cured powder. Peel it away. So I say don't touch the powder, and then I touch it. My goal was to keep the permanent sticker on that. Oh, my bad, Wicked. I got some other ones here, man. I'll hold those ones. So now you got your sticker put on. Super simple. Next step, of course, is going to be throwing some powder at it. I decided that on this is what I want to do, is spray white powder and go for the Stormtrooper look. Sorry, I realized with this mic setup, I can't turn my head away from it. I have to be looking at the mic to make it work. But I figured shooting white powder, get that kind of nerdy Stormtrooper look. There's a not terrible chance that I'm going to mess this up. Just because I'm distracted with you guys, partially. but I'm also gonna, try to rush this because I don't want this video to take necessarily forever. So, but regardless of how well I end up doing it, this is the process that I use for it all the time. Kabam. So this is gonna sound super strange, and I think every time I've ever told this to anybody, they weren't sure if they believe me. I know what you're talking about. So when you touch an area and then you go to spray powder like intentionally won't go on that area, or it leaves like an outline of, say, your fingerprint or whatever you touch it with. You can touch it with almost anything. What I suggest is having a set of dryer sheets. I'm talking like the anti-static dryer sheet, generic from the store. You can buy the ones that smell good if you really care. Rub that on the back of the part in the same area, or if you can get to the back of the part. If you're having an issue where you can't get powder there at all, like you just can't, you're going to end up needing to blow all the powder off and rub that dryer sheet over top of it. Because what you're actually having is not an oil issue. It's typically you're having like a little static buildup issue. The dryer sheet's going to eliminate that. You can do other things. You can throw it in the oven to warm it up and then bring it back out and let it cool, and that usually dissipates the electricity. It changes the atoms or something. I'm not really sure how that part of it works. The electrons. I know that works, but I don't like to heat things up more than I have to. Color Factory. I never use gloves. Yeah, pretty much never. When I'm working, if I'm working with powder where I'm going to be touching stuff, touching substrates, whatever, I usually make sure my hands are clean. I'm also, I live in Utah, incredibly low humidity. I think, let's see, humidity in my shop right now is 11? Yeah, 11. No, yeah, it's 11. Sorry, I'm looking past light boxes. It's 11% humidity, which is nothing. So other places in the country, you're going to have way bigger issues. That's maybe the only good part of living in Utah is we have low humidity. So I don't have to worry about that too much. I'm definitely not touching parts with like super grease covered hands and, stuff like that, obviously. But I've seen the issues that that other people have had, and I don't have any of those issues. So I'm going to have to assume it's the humidity and making sure that my hands are at least moderately clean. That being said, I don't intentionally touch. I'll grab the spokes of wheels before outgassing, but after outgassing and all that stuff, I don't touch anything before coating. No surface I'm going to be dealing with. So, I'll grab the back mounting pad or where the tires go, stuff like that, but I'm never going to grab the face of a wheel after outgassing. The Swiffer thing working, I don't know. Yeah, probably. I don't know why the Swiffer thing wouldn't work. It wouldn't be my first choice necessarily, but it is what it is. So I can't decide if I want to turn my dust collector on because I feel like it's going to be really loud for you guys. Oh, that's not good. That's not good at all. Hold on here. Man, that could have been a bummer. It definitely, for sure, almost just sprayed the wrong color. All right, don't mind me. Paintball, yeah. Well, you can. No, you can have Ken wives the same way in Utah that you can have them everywhere else, and it's that you can't. The thing that you're referring to is, they're called like plural wives, sister wives, things like that. It's not accepted or legal anywhere. It's literally a thing that the fundamentalist Mormons, so the FLDS, they do. And I'm gonna be real honest with you. I see those people in stores all the time because we have a lot of them here, polygamists. You see them in stores. They rock the old school outfits with the old school hairdos, stuff like that. There's always like a group of 6 girls. You'll never see a more unhappy group of women than those wives, the wives that you're talking about. I've never seen somebody that miserable, just like standing and looking like they hate life, like in my existence. It's pretty wild. So I assume it's not a great life. That being said, I actually have no idea because I don't even believe in one wife. So multiple wives seems a little wild. Last time I'm asking a question, building a 5x4x8 oven. Placement of the heating elements critical. I was thinking of mounting 2 up each side. So, no, the elements, I mean, the only thing you don't want is your element to be directly next to your part. I actually have people ask me about mine because I think it looks like my stuff sits right next to elements all the time, and it doesn't. The other oven that I'm building, the elements are actually recessed into the wall, and there's like a piece of metal separating the element directly from the part. I've never had an issue with a part like being, getting too hot or heating up too fast, things like that. But as long as you have a blower circulating air, the radiant heat of the element's not going to make as big of a difference. If you don't have anything circulating air, just make sure it's not right next to a part. I've seen certain ovens where there's an element on the bottom, like the very floor, but I think those ones are only there to do initial heat up, and then once the oven's warm, those turn off. But don't quote me on that because I actually don't know. It's not my oven. So, okay, we got white loaded up. Let's see. I'm hoping that I'm answering everybody's questions. And that's not me trying to get you guys to do some super chat stuff where you pay for me to answer questions, but you can do the super chat thing. Color Factory. So I use a different type of hopper than even comes with this gun, but it's the type of hopper that used to come with this gun, and I guess I can show you. So these hoppers, they have 2 lines for the air to come in and blow around, and when you get them, they're actually set up where you can tell they're like designed to spiral it, and then this tube where powder comes back out has holes put in it. The newer Columbia coating stuff does not. They have just the tube, and then they have one tube like this. They have a tube with no holes, I should say. They have a tube like this, and then they have a short tube that kind of blows air in. I have a local friend who uses those, and he hates them. He converted it to this, and he likes them way more. And a couple people I've talked to have also changed to this style, and works like a champ. This is as close as I get to a fluidizing hopper. So, I mean, I guess technically no. You're talking about like a fluidized bed hopper, I assume. Some of the other guns that I got, they came with hoppers like that, and I'll be testing the ones that came with them. I'm gonna use the setups that came with each one, just to make it even, I guess. I already can tell which ones will work better. The box feeds, of course, a vibrating box feed will be just as good as a fluidizing hopper, maybe better. So the fluidizing hoppers that come on some of them are pretty crappy. There's definitely some really cheap ones online that I think, I've seen videos of them using them and they just look like trash. So let's see if I can do this. Hey, Wicked Powder, I'm gonna let your number go, but it just told me not to. Let's see, I wouldn't want another wife. Yeah, Jess, don't put yourself in the acid. Mark Gomez, yeah, so I have a ground rod that's actually directly behind this booth that the entire booth is grounded to. I also still have a wire. I don't know if you guys can see it. No, you can't necessarily. You can see this wire that runs across right here. It just goes up and connects to anything that I'm doing. That one goes to the back of the box. But this whole unit right here is grounded. You'll see actually, depending on the powders that I spray, it'll end up, you'll see every single upright on this getting powder on it, just because they're grounded as well. So, pull this other cover out of the oven here. Ooh, it's warm in here. Okay, and so one of the other things before I spray this that I want you guys to know is that if you do not have an oven that you can't control the time of, how hot they're getting, if you can't effectively control it. So, say you have an oven that keeps ranging 25, 40 degrees, and I've seen this numerous times, that's why I'm saying this. You're not gonna wanna do it this way. The vinyl is very finicky as to when it can go in, or how long it can stay in, I guess, and at what temperature it can get to before it becomes an issue. If I end up with time, I'm gonna end up doing one of these wrong on purpose, just to show you guys what will happen. But I don't, right now it's not looking great. So, explain tomorrow. Do you ever powder coat over chrome? So JS, yeah, I kind of answered this already, but it's if it's brand new chrome and you're shooting a transparent color, fine. If it's brand new chrome and you're shooting, color, black, gunmetal, silver, whatever. If it's brand new, I'll blast it. If it's getting transparent, I don't blast it, obviously. But if it's a used chrome wheel that has any sort of pitting or anything, I won't do it unless it's chrome stripped. It's just not worth the risk for me. It's extra work. Blasting chrome can be a nightmare, depends on the chrome. Depends on if it's triple chrome or just regular chrome, which the difference is 2 layers or 3 layers. The chromium itself, the shiny part that's on the outside of a chrome part, that blasts off instantly. A lot of times underneath you'll see nickel and copper, and those are actually the things that cause you the most issues. Nickel is incredibly hard and fairly thick in the chrome plating process. Copper, of course, is very soft and blasts away quite easy, but it's the base layer. So, I haven't put nitric acid. Nitric acid removes every single thing on an aluminum wheel. It'll take anything off and not touch the aluminum, which is ideal. You can also go to a chrome shop and have them reverse the chrome process to accomplish the same types of goals. So we'll get back to this. So now that this sticker is on here, like I said, partially cured black base, got a sticker on of the logo that we're going to end up with. We're basically masking off the area that we want to keep black, and then I'm going to be spraying white. I didn't adjust these gun settings at all, by the way, so this will be fun. I'm not going to. It's going to be a nightmare, I can already tell. I was kind of worried about using this steel cover, because this steel it's super thin, and not that that's affecting what I'm doing, but let's see if I can adjust this up. Not that it affects what I'm doing, but I'm worried that this sticker is going to cool off. And actually, I'm going to blow off part of this, because if I have time, like I said, I'm going to intentionally do a mess up so you guys can see what it's like. Unless I mess this up, and then you won't have to. So, we got this thing all powder coated. JS, no. There's no reason to etch the chrome. It's going to help a little bit, but it's like, why wouldn't you just remove all the material so you don't have to worry about it? Blow off the top of this real quick. I made extra stickers in case I wanted to intentionally mess up, like I said. So you'll have to ignore that. I'm just doing this as like a temporary thing. And then we're going to put it in the oven. I'm putting it in a 400 degree oven. Temperature, it's already up temperature. And we're going to have to pay really close attention to this. So it's going to be a matter of when it flows out is going to determine when it comes out of this oven. Something that you need to have ready is an X-Acto knife. Some people, like if you don't have like nimble fingers, I guess, you're also going to want to have a pair of tweezers, like the needle nose type tweezers to grab stuff with. I worked in the sign industry forever. I use X-Acto knives for everything. So I'm fine with just an X-Acto knife. You want a new blade, clean blade is going to matter. Let's see if I can get through some of these questions. Blake, yeah, you can laser etch top coats off if you're talking about in the powder coating process for two-stage. But you have to know somebody who really knows their laser, because certain lasers, I mean, you know, how powerful a laser is determines how far down it goes into whatever you're removing. So I've actually removed certain powders with laser. I did like one of the times I've done a production run, they had to laser engrave numbers into it, and they've done it that way, but that was just going down to metal. I've seen guys that will take off a single layer of powder and leave another layer exposed, but it doesn't look that great because the laser does affect it. All right, sorry, I was trying to catch up on those. So I have another cover. And oh, set my glove right by the camera. All right, so this is just another test valve cover. This is actually off of one of my old drag cars. I don't even know if I bothered masking anything on it because it's not used for anything anymore, and it won't be. This is off one of my old neon drag cars of all things. Don't judge me. JS coatings, yeah, brand new chrome. Oh, well, if it's Harley parts and they're brand new, I would blast that chrome, just falls right off because that's all Chinese chrome. Because Harleys suck. So, oh, now I can't read that message. Way to go, Sten. I'm going to do another one. This is the one that I'm going to do, kind of a ghost thing. We'll get to the other one. It's in the oven, obviously, right now, curing. I guess I should look at it. Yeah. We'll have to do that one quick. I knew that steel was going to heat up fast, so we'll move this back over here for right now. All right, guys, this is the fun part. I'm going to try, let's see if I can get this camera at a little different angle here. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it. What is this question, Daniel? I had some truck bumpers rust behind the powder coat. No, usually that's an issue with, oh, you got a truck bumper? No, so, oh, you bought a bumper that was already coated, maybe? If that's what you're saying, most of the time it's because they don't do any prep work. Most manufacturers of, aftermarket bumpers for trucks and things like that, they don't do any prep work of any kind. They literally, they'll spray phosphate on them to clean them sometimes, and then powder coat right over top of it. So those bumpers will rust always. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's just crappy prep work. That's all it is. It's not a failure to remove rust or anything. It's just a lack of prep work. They're probably shot right over top of mill scale. Mill scale is essentially, technically speaking, it's like burnt oil stuck to the outside. That's not what it is, but that's essentially what it is. And so when you powder coat over that, it just sheets right off. You got to blast all that stuff off. There's chemicals. You can put in different chemicals to strip all that stuff off as well. But I blast everything. I recommend blasting everything. What about polished aluminum, for instance, clear over polished? Color Factory, so certain clears you can do over polished. Ceramic clear, Cerakote, NIC Industries, they make some clears that go over it. I've been working with another company to do some powder clears that are acrylic based, but they're not acrylic. They're not full acrylic clears that have been working pretty good. I haven't had any failures yet, but it's only been a couple months. So your biggest issue with going over things like that is, your abrasion resistance or your impact resistance is non-existent, basically. You don't have the mechanical bond between the clear and the part, so it ends up being a bummer. Let me pull this other cover out. So, I have to work fast, so hopefully I get this in the shot. All right, and then the next step, this is not gonna be fun. I shouldn't have done it this way, now that I'm thinking about it. Not on this steel valve cover. But the next step is going to be removing this sticker. So I should let this cool down a little bit, but because I'm worried about how thin some of this is and how many pieces there are and how this steel valve cover is going to be a nightmare, I'm doing it this way. So you just need to get underneath it and start peeling. I actually probably talked too long and let this get too hot, which is why I said I'm probably going to mess this up. And this is a thing, you know, I've talked to you guys before about you don't learn on your own, or you don't learn on customers' parts, you learn on your own. Yeah, I definitely let this get in way too hot. But regardless of whether or not I mess this up, this process is the exact same. So you're ending up just peeling all the old sticker off. I just did that with my mouth because my other hand's holding this, sorry. Yeah, let this get way too hot and then cool down way too fast because it's too thin a steel. That is a bummer. The next one won't be like that because it's on a cast aluminum cover. But conceptually, this process is identical. You peel off all the same, you peel off all the sticker, and if you don't let it go, get too hot, and then it, you know, it cools too fast, you can end up with a logo, which this one's not going to do, I guarantee you now. So I definitely let this go too far. But the next one, oh, this actually gives me a perfect opportunity. Oh. Actually, I don't have to show you because I'm technically doing the exact same thing that I said would be an issue. Normally, you wait till this right when it flows out. It's not even when it gets shiny. It's like, it goes like right as it transitions from powder into basically a liquid. It's kind of like a gel. That's when you want to pull it off. And if you wait too long, this is what happens. You know, I'm like low-key glad that I did this because the other one, that shouldn't be an issue on. And the issue now is, like, as you see, you know, this powder is too flowed out. It's too cured to be doing this with, I should say. So now it's hard. I mean, I'm pulling on this and it's just ripping the powder off. And this is, when I mentioned earlier, if you don't have an oven that you can really control the temperature on, can you reheat that with a heat gun? Yeah, Matt, you can reheat it to a certain degree, but you got to remember the one thing about powder is that powder is a one-time chemical reaction. So as it starts to melt and cure, like, you're not going to get it, once it's already gotten to a certain stage, you're not going to be able to melt it just a little bit. You're going to have to bring it all the way back up to the stage that it's already gotten to, which at this point has been too far. You could try it with a heat gun. I can't imagine that it would work that well, but I would just throw it back in a warm oven, you know, away from all the elements, away from the heat source, no matter what. I guess what I would say is in the coldest spot in your oven. So let's see if I can throw this in. And one of the other things, I mean, I know that you guys all, well, a lot of you have tons of nice things to say about me and my work, but I definitely do mess things up. Not very often. Stuff like this, I actually said before I started this that I was likely that I would mess this up because I'd be distracted talking to you guys. And this is it's a very finicky process. So if you're not on the ball, stuff like that's going to happen. But if, you know, when you're not distracted, this is way less of an issue to do. You know, I'm over here trying to answer questions and things doing this. As soon as this other valve cover cools down a little bit more, we're going to throw a logo on that, and I'm going to show you the other way of doing it, and I promise this way won't be messed up, so you'll at least be able to see it. Colton's dead. Let's see. What are your thoughts on heating plastic center caps with a heat gun and applying powder? I don't have any. I've never done it. I wouldn't recommend it. I tend to avoid plastic center caps entirely. If I have to deal with them, we have a local place, you know, in Utah here. I'm sure there's other ones, or I'm sure this place is all over, and then there's probably similar places, but like an auto body supply store, ours is NCS. I can bring them a powder sample. They can scan it with a little tool. It gives a powder, a paint match. Theoretically, they actually usually show me 3 at a time that they believe match, and then they mix it into a can of spray paint for me. I don't like to deal with center caps. Luckily, I do a lot of dealership work. I don't really post any of it on here because it's all, boring, just like a set of gloss black Honda wheels or whatever. But luckily, Honda, Subaru, almost every company now has an optional black wheel, so that comes with optional black center caps. So like Honda will send me a brand new set of wheels with silver center caps in them, and then powder coat them black. Then they buy or supply black center caps for those wheels for their customer, and I'm sure they charge them a pretty penny. I think the last ones I saw were $50 a piece for a plastic black, Honda center cap. So I try to avoid them as much as possible. It's rare that you need them to color match. Very few wheels require a color match center cap. Aftermarket wheels even less so. But if you want to go that route, you can definitely do that. Wicked Powder, what video? I don't know if you're talking to me when you say that. I saw that video too. Oh, the video of the Subaru wheels. I see. Yeah, I didn't have to do anything with those. They were black center caps, which is what the customer wanted. The wheels weren't black, but they actually, it fit on the car. Yeah, JS, I think that other valve cover is waste. Anybody who's ever dealt with these Power Stroke covers knows how much of a nightmare they are. They're just, the metal on them, it's layered pieces of steel and it's incredibly thin. So yeah, it's a waste. I got the vinyl too hot to begin with, so we won't mess with it. I'll make the other one look proper so you guys won't think that I'm a complete scrub when it comes to powder coating. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've never seen anybody do the heat gun shenanigans, but I'm sure it's been done. Sorry, I'm gonna look at something on my phone, see if I can pull up some of the other masking stuff that I've done. Let's see if I could find actually Louis Vuitton wheels. I assume it's in here. And by the way, I was not the first person to do Louis Vuitton wheels. The idea was brought to me, and I saw a picture of it done. But I think I was one of the first people to do it in powder. Everybody else was doing it in paint, which makes it slightly cooler if it's powder. Of course, now I can't find it. Louis Vuitton wheels. Let's see, 300. ZX. Well, there's a picture of the car, ironically, but not the wheels. So there's one on my Instagram. It's one of the very first pictures on my Instagram. If you just look at Unknown Coatings. I don't know if I want to scroll. I think I have. How many pictures do I have? Yeah, I have almost 2,000. I guess I could just sit here and do. Oh wait. I was thinking maybe that I had reposted them at one point. I'll just sit here and scroll. You showed us what not to do. Yeah, Cole. Basically, yeah, don't not pay attention to your part in the oven. Like I said, this other valve cover is just like a plain cast aluminum, and I think this covers off like a Dodge Stratus motor. So it's a nice like cast aluminum to work with, and it's not going to cause me grief like the other one. I'm just going to keep scrolling on Instagram until I find this. I'm sure you guys want to watch me scroll on Instagram. But I've done, like Brembo brake logos. I charge more for it, so a lot of people don't that way. Colton's debt. So Yeah, the weird part is Columbia stopped selling this tip. This used to be this long tip. Sorry, let me show you real quick. This used to be their multi-coat nozzle. It's designed completely different than their other tips inside, but I have one of the other ones. Let me go grab it. So this is one of the new style Columbia Coatings nozzles, multi-coat nozzles. I have never liked this thing. It sucks, in my opinion. I'm sure they have better thoughts on it. This is not. This is nowhere near as good as that long tip that I'm using. Although I have to be clear, that long tip is much different inside than the shorter versions of similar looking tips. So that one's good enough that I've broken it 3 times and I keep fixing it. So that gives you kind of an idea. I thought that I was getting close to scrolling to the end of my post, but that just doesn't seem real right now. I think I'm like halfway. Yeah, that's one of the pictures I just crossed was unicorn pussy, which I'm actually had a couple of people ask me about unicorn pussy as a color. For those of you who don't know, it's not a mythical creature's vagina. I had a couple people ask me about it, and I actually have a video coming out this week. Just finished up the parts, but it's going to be in that. So expect that. Where are you getting your chrome colors? Prismatic doesn't have super chrome anymore. Well, I'm gonna be real honest with you. I got a bunch of super chrome. So I bought like the last, well, I don't want to say I bought the last of it that they had, but I might have. So I don't have to look for anything else right now. But there are some other chromes out there from other companies. I don't have any suggestions, unfortunately. The general OptiFlex setup so far, it's been awesome. Yeah, I don't think there's any question that the Gemma, OptiFlex 2 is good. I don't know that it's 5 when there are, we'll say, very similar guns, clearly replicas of Gemmas for $1,500 that literally all the parts interchange. I don't know that it's that better, is all I'm saying. So I feel like this gun, they sell the version of this gun that I use for $500 now. Works fine for me. No, Wicked, not that. I have like 14 pounds of super chrome and that's it. Not 500, unfortunately. I'm finding more custom masking stuff that I did, but I just don't know how I'm gonna be able to show you guys on camera on here. But I did, this is a Cowboys logo that I did. It was an absolute, I don't know, this is gonna be delayed because I have to put it up to the camera and then look and see if it's actually showing up. I did this Cowboys logo. That's all powder as well. And that one was a nightmare because the center cap was a separate piece. I don't remember exactly what the SC shenanigans stood for. It was some sort of Dallas Cowboy reference. I think from Texas. All the wheels were for somebody here local. But there's, this is a, I want the audio to go away. This is a powder coated Bumbo logo. I think this will show up here eventually. That's all done with powder. So, why does this look like everything froze? That was weird. Let's see. Didn't trust the Chinese stuff, so I took the plunge. Yeah, I mean, let's see. They told me they were coming out with new. What's what gun called, Kabam? This one, this is an old Hyper Smooth 02. This one's actually from 2008. I believe the new one is basically the same, but I don't know for sure. Yeah, they said they were coming out with new Super Chrome. They've done this a couple times. I don't know if you guys are, some of you guys that are newer to powder, they've done this. This is probably like the 3rd or 4th rendition of this exact same product. JS Coatings didn't trust the Chinese stuff. Well, I got bad news for you. Your Gemma was made in China. So, I mean, you can not trust it if you want, but it was probably made in the exact same factory, likely. So, that was one of the reasons that I started looking for some of the other options. I have a Gemma sitting here in a box that will be going in the gun test. So, I mean, we're really going to see if there's a difference. Where and how am I storing my powder? So I store my powder in my shop. Just in boxes, in bags. Bags are all extra. Keeping the bags closed is a big deal. I know that sounds dumb. And then in boxes, you're going to want to keep them out of direct light. My shop stays at a suitable temperature all year, so I don't have to worry too much about it. Looks flawless though. Nice job. Dual voltage. Nestor, I'm guessing you're not going to like that dual voltage Eastwood, but anybody who knows me knows I hate Eastwood products. $1,500. That's the same as a Gemma. So the Colo 191 is approximately $1,600. There are some other variants of that exact same gun. I don't remember the exact names of those. I'll try to come back to this video and post them in the comments, but I don't remember the name. But you can find them. It's just a matter of looking. I get contacted multiple times a week from people trying to sell me guns from China, so that's probably how I came across it. Yeah, the new Eastwood gun is junk. So are all the old Eastwood guns, to be fair. This guy, let's drop like for your boy, knowledge he's sharing. Oh, let's drop a like. Oh, hey, thanks, Jonathan Sandiford. Cell phone will interfere with the Wi-Fi if it gets too close. Audio mics as well. That may have been what happened. I don't know what you're saying. Run the new Eastwood gun. I'm pissed. Yeah, the new Eastwood gun sucks, man. Every place has hated it. The only people who think is a good gun are people who have never powder coated. And if you've used any type of gun, doesn't matter if it was like a crappy Eastwood, the old Craftsman guns, any of those, that gun sucks. It sucks so much they wouldn't sell me one when they found out that I was going to use it in a comparison. So you can draw your own conclusions there. If they had any confidence in their product. I wasn't asking for a discount. I wasn't asking for anything. I said, hey, I'll buy the gun. And then they found out that I was going to use it in the gun comparison and canceled my order. So there's no way that that's worth it to me. They do okay customer service, I guess. I mean, you get to deal with that shenanigans. I'd much rather have a place where I don't have to deal with customer service. I just want my part to work. Especially if I spend $1,000. I think now it's only, what's it down to $899 or something like that now. So it's slightly better, but it's still not a good deal. Yeah, and by the way, I am still in fact scrolling for these Louis Vuitton wheels. Apparently 2,000 posts on Instagram is all to go through. The best, I don't even remember exactly what the picture is, so it might not even be a great picture. Oh yeah, here we go. There's two pictures of it side by side. What's your thoughts on how to start a powder coating business videos? Man, look, I don't want to sit and bash anybody who's making videos with the intent of helping people. I think ultimately, if you're set on trying to help people and you're trying to do good, I'm not going to bash on it. There's some advice in there that I don't agree with, but we live in two different worlds, two different places. So I can't. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to bash a company for trying to help. I don't agree with some of it. I think that there's a lot of generic information in there that's probably really good, but I think there's a lot of other information that are not how I would do things, especially now. I'm 12 years deep into this business, fairly successful, have grown it to everything that I've wanted it to be. I've never wanted to expand beyond this. So, it is what it is. You take all the information on the internet with a grain of salt, is what I say. So, like I said, I'm not going to sit and bash anybody for trying to make videos that are helping. So, I'm going to show you guys this. This is a Louis Vuitton wheel that I did. I'm trying to figure out which way I need to move this by looking at the camera. Matte black, that's prismatic gold with, I think, blackjack over top of it. And then there's another picture. There's a close-up. Now, I would have recommended clearing this, but we couldn't. We were on I wish I could figure out exactly which way this needed to move. We were on an extreme time crunch to get these done, to the point that there was no way that another coat of powder was even an option. I believe they got sold after the kid got done using them, but I don't know where they went after that, so I don't really know. Scott, the KK3, yeah, cool coat systems seem to work really well. Color Factory, the Colo stuff looks good, a little difficult to get a hold of them. Color Factory, shoot me an email. It's just unknowncoatings@gmail.com, and I will put you in touch with the person I deal with. She literally replies, doesn't matter when I message her, she will message me back within an hour every time. It's like she sleeps less than I do somehow. So, want to see this vinyl pull? What vinyl are you using? And explain how far to cure the base coat. Oh, so Scott, you must have just joined. I definitely messed up the first one. I got distracted answering questions and ruined it. This video will be posted up, so if you missed it, you'll be able to go back and see it. So don't worry about that. But I'm going to do another one. The vinyl that I'm using is Oracal 651. It's just an intermediate calendared vinyl. Hopefully this shows up, kind of shows up. I block all the light maybe. Oracal 651, great vinyl for doing this type of stuff. Colton's dad. So the abbreviation on my gun, I'm guessing you're gonna mean this one, the LMDB. If I'm gonna be real honest with you guys, it stands for Let My Dick Breathe. It's a long story that I don't even, there's no point in explaining it on this channel in particular, but it's just like kind of a few-year-old line that I'm using. I'm sure that there are people who will get a kick out of it, kind of generically. Wait, did my powder just freeze? Sorry, or my camera just freeze. Yeah, it literally stands for Let My Dick Breathe. It's just a mentality. It's like when you have people coming at you and trying to attack you, you know, they won't get off your dick. And that's the concept behind it, is Let My Dick Breathe. So, there you guys go. Now you know the weird, yeah, I know, Sten. It is self-explanatory, but nobody like understands why I use it. So, that's the reason. I don't want to explain the story. I guess there's another YouTube video. If you go look up LMDB podcast, or oh God, Sten, now I can't remember the name of the other one. What's the other name of the podcast? If you look up LMDB podcast or LMDB show, you can see podcasts that myself, Sten, who's a moderator in here right now, and then our friend Megan have done. Oh, Better When You're High is the other podcast. Don't do them anymore, but yeah, Colton's dad, yeah, I don't, I mean, I guess good luck when you tell her. It's one of those things, like my parents asked me at one point, you know, and I'm a grown-ass man, right? I'm 39 years old, and I still felt super weird telling my mom it stands for Let My Dick Breathe, but I did it. So you check on this other cover. So I guess I better not mess this one up, right? Because it's going to be super awkward. Kabam, do I ever use a mil thickness gauge? So I have a almost $600 mil thickness gauge that I have used literally 3 times ever. All 3 times for the same job. It was a super weird situation. I was powder coating them for another powder coater who had some sort of catastrophic failure with an oven, and they brought them to me and had me do the parts that they couldn't get done in time. They had completed most of this order, and then they brought the rest to me. I used it for that, and that's it. Never again. That's not true. I've used it just to test my own stuff, just to be like, hey, like, how did I do on this? But it's always been, like, I've been pretty on the ball with it, so I don't use it too much. Scott, does that cover partial cured? Yeah. So this was brought to, you know, it was brought up to gel out state, which is kind of where you see it now, and then I waited, this one's 7 minutes on this one, 4 minutes on the steel one that you maybe had missed earlier that I completely effed up on. It's not super critical. You don't want to over cure this, because then you're going to have issues with your powder sticking to it. But let me grab a heat gun real quick. Yeah. It's not super critical. You don't want to overcure it, because you don't want to overcure any powder that you're putting more powder on top of, as just kind of a general rule. It's so funny that you guys asked about the LMDB thing, because I almost put it on. I was going to do a logo, the LMDB logo, and because I use it on lots of stuff. And I didn't do it because I didn't want to have to explain what it meant. And then you guys asked anyway, which is fine. You know, I'm an open book. Ask me whatever. So, same thing, same exact process. You got your sticker, gonna be slapping it over this. Nestor, no, I cannot send you the Gemma. I've had this Gemma for almost 2 years, and it's never, it came out of the box once for me to look at it. I didn't assemble it, didn't do anything with it. And then, or didn't, you know, really, the Gemma unit comes a little different. It comes kind of pre-assembled, the cart. And then I just finally put it all together and hooked up all the hoses and lines and stuff for the first time the other day. My photographer friend is doing photos of all of them, so we have like full-on comparison photos, because I'm going to be doing some voiceover stuff that includes the photos for the gun comparison. So same as before, going to be putting a sticker on. I kind of guessed on the size on this, if I'm going to be super honest. So, oh, it does fit. Sweet. You're just going to throw your sticker down like normal. Like I said in the other one, you want to put it down. I choose to put it down with my finger. I don't like putting it down with a squeegee. If you're careful, you can use a squeegee. Or if you're not careful, you can use a squeegee and you can F it up. So there's always that as an option as well. And then this one, oh, I guess let me move this so I can clean on this real quick. And I do want to make really clear once again, I mean, I know I already said it, but the valve cover that I'm using is a garbage valve cover. It was not masked properly, so I don't want anybody to see it and be like, oh, he didn't mask it properly. Like, wah. Yeah, it's not masked at all. In fact, I put one plug in it and I started wrapping the fittings on it, and then I realized that it doesn't matter. I'm not using that valve cover. It's literally from a neon drag car that doesn't exist anymore. So there's no point in worrying about that valve cover. It's not going to go on anything else. Pulling an all-nighter at my shop, powder coating 300 clutch springs. Well, nice, Matt. Yeah, I tend to avoid production work like that, but I've been in that boat before. Sorry, you guys, if this is really loud briefly. Gotta turn this dust collector on. I always say dust collector. Turn the booth on. And I'm not cleaning this as well as I would normally do after white, because honestly, I don't care. I mean, like I said, this valve cover is just to show you guys. So I would recommend between coats cleaning the right way for whatever you find suitable. And we're going to be throwing silver sparkle over top of this. Yeah, Ryan, there's a Sten in here. The guy who's Sten approved is the guy moderating. And he's definitely seen me full on zombied out after not sleeping for 3 nights in a row, you know, doing that all-nighter steez. Now I don't do them nearly as much. I ended up turning down a lot more work to be able to pull that off, but it kind of is what it is now. So I'm told that this gun does affect the mic, so I'm sorry if you guys hear like a weird buzzing sound. I don't know what to tell you for now. You're just gonna have to tolerate it. What we're gonna do is we're gonna throw some powder over top of this whole thing, same as you would coat anything else. Valve covers, I always start at the top and work my way down. I'm kind of bugged that I didn't mask this more. I mean, I know I didn't want it masked more, but Matt, what just went back in the oven, man? This valve cover, I partially cured it in the oven and it's been out ever since. This is a different valve cover than before. This valve cover is approximately 87 degrees. What happened a while ago when I went to the hospital? I don't know which time. It seems like I've been spending way too much time in the hospital. Now I'm curious. I'm trying to think. Is that a BI spot on the cover? No? Where? I'm like trying to look from your guys' point of view. No? I don't think so. I wish I could see what you're talking about. There's a spot on this valve cover where there's a weird dip. Are you talking about right here? There's a weird dip in there that I think is discolored. It's just a shadow. This valve cover has been ground on a bunch of different times for different things, and there is a shadow. Like when I put my hand above it, the shadow goes away. So I assume that that's what you're talking about. If it's not, I don't know. Sorry. Now that this powder is on here, I'm curious about I was at the hospital a month ago. I don't think I went to the hospital. I don't think I went to the hospital a month ago. Hospitals were all closed a month ago. So I was supposed to have surgery back in March. I don't think that that's what you're talking about, but now I'm legitimately confused because now I want to know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, let me read more of this. Matt, Ryan, Maddie. Yeah, it was one of those things that I was going to turn down, instead went crazy number, and they went with it. Yeah, dude, right? I've done that before. That's the worst. You throw out one of those numbers and you're like, there's no way they're going to take this, but if they do, I'll just make it work, and then they totally accept it. So, if you're talking about my wrist, I got in a car accident back in, November 11th, 2017, and did some soft tissue damage to my wrist right here. It's been kind of an ongoing thing, and now I'm going to be having surgery for that. So, it was the beginning or end of one of your videos. Wait, now I know what you're talking about. I think that's when I got a staph infection. Is that when I got a staph infection? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I had like an unplanned trip to the hospital is probably what you're talking about, and I think that is. I got a staph infection out of nowhere. Never had anything even close to that in my life. So that's probably what you're talking about. I did get a staph infection. That was definitely way more than a month ago. Okay, yeah. Now that we're seeing it. Can't get green diamond in my area. Any other recommendations? I've been using medium clean shark. Man, so the thing that sucks for me is I have green diamond right by me. It's literally less than 10 minutes from here. I can just go get it, and it's super cheap, so I've never had to look for any alternatives. I'm told DuPont Star Blast is absolutely amazing. Hey, McKay, this is not a manifold. This is a valve cover, and this is why you shouldn't say things like that. But in case you're unclear, McKay did come down and blast this. DuPont Star Blast, I'm told, is absolutely amazing, but I've never used it, so I can't say for sure. Green Diamond's been awesome for me. Red Garnet is awesome for a lot of people. Aluminum oxide is awesome for a lot of people. I know a bunch of people on my channel that use this black, I don't know, some weird, it's like coal or something. I'm not really sure. Not Black Diamond, not Black Beauty, it's something else. And you guys all seem to like it, but I've read that it's nothing but like a dusty nonsense. So, do you coat things that don't fit in your blast cabinet, and how do you handle that? Yeah, 10X, you guys that are mentioning 10X, I haven't used it, but I've seen a bunch of people using it. I've seen nothing but good things about it. Like I said, it's super hard for me because Green Diamond is readily accessible, cheap, and it's always worked. So, on the upper left, same side as the oil fill. So oil fill's right here. Upper left? I don't know. There's none. So I don't know what you're talking about. So no. I'm just gonna say no. Oh, upper right. I'm gonna say no. There's a bunch of random grind marks that I think are making shadows for you guys. I can see them in this camera, but it's really hard for me to see. I can see them on my laptop rather, but it's really hard to see over here. Do you coat things that don't fit in your blast cabinet? Yes. All the time, actually. I have some blasters local to me. I have one not too far away. It's about a 30-minute drive, and then I have one that's where I get Green Diamond from. That's actually a blasting place that also sells blast media. They mostly sell blast media, but they sandblast on site. So stuff goes to them. Works like a champ. You guys that are all talking about the 10X, I guess maybe it's from PPG. How dusty is that? Does it break down real fast? Is it good for a cabinet? Maybe it's something I can at least look into. I can get some and try it. I'm probably not going to change to it, but I'm happy to try it out for some of you guys that don't want to just go buy it and hope that it works. Beyond spot on the upper left, same size as the oil fill. Might be a shadow though, or an indent. It's above that vent on the welded on fitting. Oh, you're talking about right here? Oh yeah, actually on the camera, that's a brutal shadow. No, there's actually a bump. So hopefully this, when I raise it like this, you'll be able to see. This is a bump. There's a fitting here. That's where the PCB setup normally goes. Sorry, I didn't even realize. On here, I can't see it at all, but on the screen, I can see it a ton. So, just bought a furnace motor and fans for $20 to build a dust collector for my powder booth. Awesome. That's better than some of the stuff that I've seen online with YouTube guys. Some of these guys are just building wood boxes and then a fan that just blows it out, which depending on where you're at, I guess that could work. It's not going to work where I'm located by any means, but if you're in a residential area that isn't too wild with neighbors, or if you're in a shop that doesn't also have neighbors. The thing is, if you powder coat with any sort of consistency, you're going to be putting out a ton of powder. I mean, just an absolute ton. If I showed you guys my filters from a single day, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, I don't, if that blows all over, that's going to be getting pretty wild. So it's best to not go that route. You definitely want to have some sort of collection set up. You grab, actually, here, I'll throw this in, since I've just been standing here talking. Once again, that's going in an already hot oven. I'm gonna grab a drink over here. Fiji water, not a paid sponsorship, but I wish they would. I wish they would send me like 5 gallons of this at a time. Same material as insulation. Wait, what kind of insulation? Most insulation is fiberglass. Or rock wool, I guess, but I don't think you're blasting with either one of those. I'm going to cool and turn into like something like glass. Huh. All right, well, maybe I'll look into it some. If it's better than aluminum oxide's theoretically pretty low dust. So, what kind of issue you run into having a powder coating business, like with inspectors? With inspectors? Inspectors. I don't really have any. I have a fire inspection once a year, just for the city that does that. I'm pretty upfront about all my stuff. Powder coating, green industry. So it's dust collection, a 30 CFM compressor at 150 PSI. No dust hardly at all. All right, Scott. Well, yeah, I'll look into that 10X stuff for sure. Maybe I can grab a video and do a comparison of Green Diamond and that or something. Could be a good, instructional video, because I am legitimately running out of ideas for that. As far as like, I don't have any like big deal. I mean, as long as you're not doing anything like blatantly wrong, you're not going to get random inspections. But I get, fire inspection once a year. Shooting a message with the guy's contact info. He's super on the ball. Oh, okay. Kabam. So that's actually gonna vary from place to place. I'm gonna check on this valve cover. just in case. Hold on. I mean, I know that it's not ready, but I can't go failing twice. Yeah, guys, I don't know what just happened. Let's see. Said suppression on YouTube didn't like that. Technical difficulties. Let's see. Wait, why is it so blurry? Oh, it's because this dropped. My computer dropped in quality. I was like, how the hell is this so blurry? You guys can't even see it. Looks like I'm made out of Legos. Hold on 1 second, guys. Put the chat back up. Okay, so how it works in my county, and actually the city ones are the same. My oven, because it just plugs into the wall, is just considered an appliance. Same as this booth, just plugged into the wall. So it's considered an appliance, so it doesn't fall under some of the same rules. This can't be vented outside, so that's the only rule I have about this, is you can't just blow it to atmosphere. This actually goes through 3 different, each side goes through 2 filters, and then there's a final filter that everything goes through. But beyond that, no, I don't have any weird issues or anything. Hardest type of wheel to powder coat from start to finish. Hardest to powder coat? Crazy tight mesh wheels. Probably don't have any here. Actually, the one that you picked up earlier today, a wheel like that is probably the hardest. I can grab it, actually, 1 second. So a wheel like this, where you got a bunch of really tight mesh, is probably the hardest. This one I have an advantage on because it's a 3-piece wheel, so you can disassemble it, and you don't have as many issues getting powder into places. No, Wicked, I'm just about to right now. All right, this thing is back to black. The color we put on is a silver sparkle. For those of you guys that didn't catch that earlier. Nice, Matt, or Ryan. I keep reading your name as Matt because your name is Ryan Matty. But you got this thing at flow out now. And you just pull the sticker. Don't burn yourself. Oh God. That's what you don't want to have happen. Like that. So that one went much better because I pulled it out at the right time. Pull this off too. Now what you can do, this is already going to be pretty subtle. This is going to be just an area where there is no silver sparkle. What you can actually do to make that a little even more subtle, I'll show you guys when it's done too. I'm going to put it in to cure it more. What you can do to make it even more subtle is clear the whole thing, so that way you don't have a hard edge where that powder was hitting up against that sticker. That hides it even more. Like I said on this cover, let me show you guys again. Might be easier on this other piece. If you hold it, I'm going to try to hold this in just the right light, but you can still feel an edge where each one of these are, the graphics are, but because it has Cortez teal over top of it, it's definitely made these edges a lot smoother. I could go through and wet sand this and clear it and make these almost non-existent if I wanted to get that wild. Like I said, this was done this was done way back in the day. This is probably from 2010 maybe. So, and it's literally just kind of sits in the showroom. It's been tossed around. It's been in storage units a couple times when I change stuff out, but that makes it even more subtle. Like I said, in the right light, you can definitely see that there's an edge, but because it goes dark to light, it's not that noticeable anyway. All right. right, we'll try to get back to some of your guys' questions while we're curing that. So much easier to pull vinyl when you don't overbreak it. Yeah, wicked powder. That's it's definitely a bummer when you do that. I know. What are your thoughts on Powder-X equipment? Nothing other than it's way overpriced. I mean, if you look at their, they have like a starter kit, which is an oven, an electric starter kit, spray booth and oven. It's like 3 times the cost of everybody else's starter setups, and it's not like they're better. They come with a sign on top that says Powder-X if you're into that sort of thing. For me, it would be a lot better off just putting your own logo on it, or having the option to put your own logo. But for the price that they're charging for those, it's nowhere near. The Powder-X stuff is all not worth the money. Now, I believe if you buy a certain level of equipment from them, you get like you can go to one of their training classes, I think, or they arrange to go to some class or something. I don't know. Never looked into it beyond that, so don't take my word for it. This could be horribly wrong information. Learning how to powder coat, what's the hardest thing to learn? Honestly, I would say it's hard to figure out what variables affect powder going onto a part. Because with the difference in parts and the difference in powders and the difference in things like humidity or temperature, what tip you're using, how well your fluidization is going in the hopper, things of that nature. Until you can like really start to narrow all those things down, I think just going one part to the next part and seeing that the second part doesn't work, even though the first part went flawlessly, that's probably one of the bigger issues, or the hardest things to deal with. But beyond that, I don't know. It's just like a learning thing. It's I told you, I think in the last live thing I said, just get out there and powder coat stuff. Go buy a bunch of valve covers at the wrecking yard, have them sandblasted somewhere else. If you don't have a sandblaster, all you've bought is a powder coating setup or a way to spray, like a booth or whatever. Just go out and practice. Like that's, I've seen there's even guys on powder coat channels that good time they were powder coating people's parts, they didn't have any idea what they were doing. It's like, well, why didn't you learn on your own stuff, and then make sure that your work's good enough and then start trying to push it out on people. I just feel like learning on somebody else's product is not the way to do things if you want to have a successful business. If you're not doing it as a business and your friend wants you to powder coat his valve cover and you're new and he just lets you raw dog it and hope for the best, then cool, but don't expect returns on things like that. And returns, it's good returns. Powder being stringy on the edges. Damn, let me go back. I'm missing some of these questions, so. No. Man, I can't keep up with these questions. I'm gonna have to do it on my phone. Let me pull this up on my phone. It'd be weird. I'd be watching my own video in 2 different ways, like a true creep. Watching my own video. Oh, no, mute. Sorry if you hear that infinite loop right now. It'll only do it for a second. Yeah, back ionization, I've never had a ton of issues with BI, so as much as I see people complain about it, I assume that it's a real issue. I've never had a ton of issues with it, so I guess I've had enough issues with it that I had to learn how to fix it, or I've helped a couple friends who've had issues with it and helped them fix it. But I think, BI stuff is almost always a grounding issue. Almost always. Not always, but almost always. Ever have a problem with the powder being stringy on the edges when you pull the vinyl? Scott, yeah. So one of the ways, this, I have an advantage because I'm using a clear. If we were doing this with a color and it was super stringy, some ways that you can get around that. So you can pull it off and you'll see if the strings hit in the areas where you don't want the powder to be. Let it cool down completely. You can take a Q-tip with a tiny bit of acetone and wipe those areas clean, those edges clean. Another option is to cure it wet sand or color sand that, the little stringy areas will come right off, and you'll have to re-clear it after that, to be fair. But that is a way, so if you run into this in the future, those are some ways to get around that. How bad is the Redline EZ50 really? I've never used the Redline. I know nothing about it, actually. I don't even know what it looks like. Honestly, like, that's how little I know about it. If I remember correctly, maybe is it like the old Craftsman guns, kind of? Summit Racing used to sell one that was just like that, but I don't know. Honestly, I know nothing about it, so I'm sorry, I can't really help. How to deal with dickhead customers? Man, I'm the worst person to ask this question. Trying to think of the best way I can answer this question and still be like honest in my answer. I used to really get bothered with dickhead customers. I have whatever, it's probably still have if you're in powder coating groups. I'm not in them anymore, but I used to be. I am quite opinionated, fairly articulate, especially when it comes to writing, and I have no problem voicing my opinion on matters. If you have a dickhead customer, say you have a customer who becomes a dickhead, you didn't know he was a dickhead when you started. I'm pretty good now at detecting dickhead customers, and I just turn their jobs down. Or I charge, I tell them I'm going to charge them a lot, and I tell them it's going to take 3 weeks. Stuff like that. And then get it done faster, so that I'm, beating the expectation that I set, which theoretically makes them happy, hopefully less of a dickhead. If they are a dickhead, mid-process, so say you have a customer, you say, hey, your part's gonna be done in 4 days, and they say no rush. That's my favorite. They'll say no rush, and then immediately start asking you for updates on the project. I find that annoying. I don't know if that's in the dickhead customer range. I think, a lot of it's people just excited, right? Everybody gets excited for new stuff. So the frustrating ones are the people who say no rush, and then 10 hours later are asking you how the project's going. It's like, oh, it's still sitting in the same place on my showroom floor that you set it. Like, I haven't done anything with it. So as far as dealing with dickhead customers, like true dickheads that want to go around the internet and cause drama, like I said, I'm a bad person to ask because I used to very much engage in that. I still will. I do it a little different now. Now I let the drama kind of go on and see what people are saying. Not because I care, just because I want to be able to reply typically I want to reply with one singular message to kind of end the conversation. I know that there's a couple people in here that know me well enough to know that I tend to choose that route if I go down that path at all. I want to be the one that ends the conversation. So I will go in, I'll write a well-written post and just be like, hey, this is my interpretation of everything that's gone on. Sorry you're not happy. I'll cite examples of whatever I can to kind of back my point. And then I don't look at the post anymore. Like, if it's on Facebook, I just unsubscribe, don't look at it anymore, because I don't care. I'm not going to win everybody over. I'm theoretically here not to suck anybody's dick, so to speak. So I'm going to say my piece. You can agree, you can disagree, you can do whatever you want. Your opinion or their opinion, other opinions don't matter to me one bit, 0%. So I value my own opinion more than everybody else on this planet's combined. I value mine more. So it's just a matter of, having the self-awareness to know, like, if I'm messing up, if I'm fucking something up, or I'm taking too long on a project, I know that. I'm not going to go in and defend myself and say, oh, it's your fault that I'm taking so long or whatever. I'll go in like, yeah, sorry it's taking so long. Sucks, man. Sorry. I'll try to fix it. I'll give you a discount. I'll do whatever I can. But if you're just going to be an asshole, then you're going to get the asshole version of me back, which most people find quite entertaining, it turns out. That's encouraging for me, but I know from a business standpoint, it's not great. My parents used to give me crap because of the way that I would handle negative situations. As far as negative reviews. I mean, if you look at my reviews everywhere, they're above 4 stars everywhere. But I have negative reviews on the internet. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I don't. Dealt with thousands of customers. The fact that I have negative reviews is just a reality of anybody who's ever been in business. So my parents didn't like the way that I used to do it. Luckily, mostly due to the internet and the fact that trolls exist. Other places have taken a very similar path to mine as far as dealing with shitty customers. Wendy's is notorious for trolling some of the people that post, negative things about them, say on Twitter, for example. Once I showed my parents that, big places, like Amtrak even, I know that's a stupid example, but Amtrak is one of the funnier ones. Wendy's is still like top tier, but there's a bunch of places online that they hired intelligent, articulate people to handle their social media, who approach social media in the way that most of us use social media, and we use it for fun. You can get on and pound your keyboard and say all the negative things you want, but all it takes is one funny rebuttal to yours, and everybody's already on that person's side most of the time, unless you're just like a shitty person or whatever. So it might be a little bit different. Sorry, I just went on that. That was really long. I'm gonna get to some of these other questions. Oh wait, is there not? Oh no, there is more questions. Sorry, my phone's being weird. Practice my friend's stuff for free. Most of it turned out pretty good. Yeah, practicing on your friend's stuff is awesome. I didn't powder coat anything for any friends for like 6, 7, 8 months, something like that, because I was terrified that all my powder was just going to be falling off anyway. So I was like, I don't want to do your guys' stuff, because what if it looks like shit? It's my problem down the road. Once I realized that my stuff, actually the first set of wheels I ever did came out great, and I still own them. Knowing what I know now, I have no idea how they came out great, but they did. But they were on the car for, I think I had those done for 8 months before I ever powder coated wheels for anybody else, just because I was that unsure of everything. But you can get valve covers. There's a place here local, I can buy valve covers for $10 a piece, or get on Facebook Marketplace, any classifieds that are near you. You can buy any metal valve cover for cheap half the time. You can buy $10 valve covers, $15 valve covers. And those are great things to practice on, especially if you're never going to use them for anything. If you don't have any intention of selling them, you don't have to get crazy with cleaning them or masking them or doing any of the wild stuff. You can learn how to actually put powder down on parts. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. I'm not saying you can get away with not cleaning your customer stuff or letting powder in places that it shouldn't. You definitely can't do that. But even 3-piece wheels. This is a great example. I just bought a set of 20-inch 3-piece wheels the other day for $300. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I want to do 3-piece wheels, but I'm afraid, I've never done anything with them. And they can be intimidating, I know that. But the 3-piece wheels got to come apart when you're going to be powder coating them. They have to. Like, powder coating wheels together is ridiculous on every front. I have customers like, oh, I just want to powder coat it together to save money. I'm like, okay, well, you need to take it somewhere else. I'm not doing that job. So if you can find a set of decent wheels, or just buy one wheel. There's wheels at wrecking yards that are 2-piece. That doesn't help with the sealing side of things, but it'll definitely put you in the ball game to be able to do stuff. I run a page called Official Wheels on Facebook. We got 30,000 members or something, I think. They have single wear 3-piece wheels all the time, damage, whatever. If you guys want to learn how to do some of that stuff, that's a great place to start. Just buy a single wheel, take it apart, powder coat it, reassemble it, seal it, buy a junk tire if you don't have a tire that's the right size to put on and make sure it holds air, make sure you did everything right. It'll definitely help your confidence. It'll definitely show you the right way to do it. I have tutorials on how to do it if you want help going through that stuff. And you can always ask me questions. You can always message me. How do you deal with ticket customers? Sorry, I already got to that one. Learn how to spot them and charge accordingly. Yeah, that's what I do, Wicked. Like I said, I try to price myself out of that. Drew the Destroyers. 80-gallon, 25 CFM, 90 PSI, enough for powder crush. Yeah, my the CFM on mine is supposed to be 19.3. We put a meter on it. I don't know if you guys know this, but CFM is actually measured with the air that's pulled in, so it's a little different. But mine's actually it's like 23 CFM somehow. I'm guessing they underrate them to be safe, be my assumption, but that should be fine. 25 CFM is plenty. I run my blasting setup at about 55 psi, and my compressor will shut off while I'm blasting. So, and that it's a 110-pound pot, but learned so much already put into practice. Well, that's awesome. Colton's dad says spits powder like crazy. I don't know what you're talking about, but it might be the Easy 50. Thanks, McKay. I try to be articulate. Yeah, let my dick breathe is right. Wicked powder. That's exactly what I mean. No rush, then text you as soon as they get home. Hey, how's it going? Dude, Ryan Matty, I know. Dude, I had a guy drop off parts He told me, not only did he tell me no rush, he said that he was leaving the next day and he'd be gone for 9 days. He texted me the next morning at 7 o'clock in the morning and asked how things were going. He left my shop at 9 o'clock that night. So he texted me the next morning, not even 12 hours later, and asked how things were going. And I was just like, I sent him a picture of his part, and I said, it's going well, parts are looking good on the floor, you know, like what do you think that what do you think I possibly could have done in that time? I left the same time he did. He saw me drive away, you know, so it was, I know what you mean. Lack of self-awareness is usually what makes a dickhead customer. Yeah, that's 1,000% accurate. Hypersmooth 03 LED or ITW Gemma PGC powder coated unit for the next gun after the Eastwood through the wall. Look, man, I don't know ITW Gemma PGC, but look, my Hypersmooth works great. I will be perfectly honest with you, there are people who have not had the same luck I have had with this Hypersmooth. You know, I made a point of telling that to Columbia. I had a chat with somebody fairly high up at Columbia not too long ago, and I said, you know, I've heard people complain about these guns. Mine's worked great. He said, you know, he hears complaints from people who don't know how to use the guns. I'd say that's kind of a mixed bag. I would say that there are some issues with some of the guns that, and it's not universal across all of the, you know, Hypersmooth line. It's just kind of sporadic. Part of it is for sure customer based. I mean, although powder coating, in my opinion, is fairly easy once you start throwing powder and learning, you know, there are definitely people who don't pick it up, and you know, they just need to find something else to do, kind of a thing. It's not so much a matter of the gun. I mean, the gun does a lot of the work for you, but you definitely still have to know what you're doing to make it work. Even the presets, I mean, like, you know, the Gemma, like Optiflex 2 has presets for things. It has some of the newer guns detect issues as you're spraying, and they self-adjust. So yeah, I mean, guns are getting better and so on, but you have to have like a modicum of skill that goes with that. Just like with anything, you know, a professional golfer can go out and play really well with any set of clubs. Now, he might do better with a very specific set of clubs, but it's not like a professional golfer loses his talent based on the equipment he's using. Now, you're not going to catch me out here with a Harbor Freight gun throwing down powder on anything, but I think people worry too much about equipment when most of the equipment is at least in the same range. Actually, one of the guns, I just ordered another gun for the gun test. This was like, I bought mine for $398. I can only find that same gun now for $500, but it's on Amazon and eBay. I know nothing about these guns, and I'm just gonna see if it works. It has a lot of adjustability for $500. It has way more than any of the Hypersmooth units have, and it's $500. Now, it's a Chinese, completely random gun, so I know nothing about it. We'll just have to see. I'm my own worst enemy. Sometimes I tend to overbook myself. Late on delivery time sends me stand up all night coating springs on the weekend. Yeah, Ryan, I know, man. Like, I think there was a time in my life where if people saw how much I was working, they would never question me at all. I mean, I've had people tell me that I was lazy and had no work ethic and didn't know that I had spent the last 4 days. I hadn't slept in 4 full days, you know, 3 full nights of no sleep, working the entire time to get stuff done for people. You know, I remember I got my car accident in 2017, had a broken wrist, and it would take me 20 minutes to get my hand. I wasn't even using the hand that was broken to do any blasting. I was usually using it to pin down a part. Like, I would just let the weight of it sit on it and pin down a part. And it would take me 20 minutes to get my hand out of the glove because it was so swollen, you know, the sandblasting glove. And then I remember somebody that I stayed up working, you know, doing that, and somebody said, this is when it was still in a cast. I think it was like, this was a couple days after the car accident. It was in like a brace, I should say, at that time. And, you know, I had people tell me I had no work ethic, and I'm just like, dude, you know, I remember it took me a few minutes to get my hand out of the glove just to answer a phone call or reply to a text of a person saying that I had no work ethic. And I was just like, all right, man, like, if you saw my life, you wouldn't think that, but you know, like I said, you're not gonna win over everybody, and if you spend any time trying to win over even a majority of people, you're wasting your time. People are gonna like you, or they're not gonna like you, or they're gonna like your work. I have a lot of people who love my work and don't like me. So that, I mean, I've had people had parts brought to me by their friends because they thought, you know, we had disagreed on Facebook, so they didn't like me and they didn't want me to know that I was getting their parts. And I usually find out anyway because I'm not an idiot, but stuff like that is just wild to me. You do so many wheels, but I don't think you do the whole tire install and uninstall process. How does it you versus if you did it or know people that do it as a shop? So I've had a tire machine since 2016, maybe 15, 2015. Ironically, the transmission in it, which is the thing that rotates the table, went out about a month before my car accident in November of 2017, and I never fixed it. I actually just put the new transmission in it a couple days ago. You guys are actually in a video of that kind of coming up. So I'll be doing all my own tire stuff. I have a really good friend whose shop is about a 2-minute drive, depending on if you catch the light or not, and he's always done all my tire stuff for me. So it's a little different than if you have to go somewhere. If I didn't have a friend who had a shop, I would definitely just tell everybody I don't do tire anything, just bring me just wheels. But if you can find a decent tire machine like mine's, from a discount tire, mine's a great Coast machine. I got a Coates balancer. If you can find that stuff for cheap, it's definitely worth getting. Charge $60, $70, $80 to dismount, mount, and balance all four. You're making, it's not free money obviously, but you're making your money back pretty quickly on it. Learned on tumblers and sold a ton of them. Yeah, it's tumbler business got real wild for a long time. I know that it was, like I said, I think earlier in this, it was kind of a running joke in the powder coating world. Cup moms, we used to call cup moms, but it wasn't because they were doing tumblers. It's because they were new to powder coating and they were doing things that if you knew powder coating, you'd be like, dude, don't do that. Using a stripper to remove their powder coating on things that people were going to put in their mouth, stuff like that. So I don't see, cups come now in like every color imaginable. I'm sure that that's still like a pretty decent business. I've probably done probably like 10 of those tumblers in my powder coating career. I just tend to avoid them. There's not for me. German Pro, box feed, and bus setup, but I have only used the cups. Am I missing out by not using the cans? The thing is, it depends on what you're doing, Scott. Really, it's let me answer the question above yours. What form of green diamond? I was looking at my area and the supplier has different media. So I use 3060 green diamond. It works great, like as a universal blasting solution. They make a couple different ones. If I want a really fine profile, they have a 7140. It's called their foundry sand, but most places don't have it apparently. I found that out. So 3060 works great for me. But Scott, if you're powder coating something where you can benefit from the amount of powder that a box holds, then sure. But if you're doing cups, like mostly cups or small parts where you can just fill a little tiny cup with powder, that's way better than a box feed because you don't have to deal with cleaning anything. I use these hoppers, these 1 and 2 pound hoppers. I have a 5 pound too that I don't know where it is. I've never even used it. So I use hoppers like this for everything. The 2 pound ones I can fill with like 1.5 pounds and do a full set of wheels with no effort at all, and it's more a matter of what you're doing. I'd hate, you wouldn't want to stop in the middle of a project and have to keep refilling powder if there was an alternative that was easy to do, like a box feed. So it's all back and forth. Maybe you can go to a smaller one, a 2 pound fluidizing hopper or something, and that would suit you just fine, as opposed to going straight from cups to box feed. Box feed's awesome, especially if you have a vibrating pan. They're the best in my opinion. How do you keep consistent color with transparent top coat? Sometimes my color is different from part to part. Honestly, that's an experience thing, man. It's I'm not gonna say that mine are always perfect, but I've never had anybody be like, well, this doesn't match this. I've had that happen on illusion colors, which is, I think some of the illusions, the dormant candies are a little harder just because your cure times, depending on the part, can vary so much, and then you have 2 factors playing a role in the ultimate color outcome as opposed to a regular candy where you're only worried about the second coat. I don't know. I don't have a good answer, unfortunately. I think it's just a matter of learning your gun and your settings. Once you do enough parts and you know that, this part's thin metal, it's going to take a little bit different. You'll see over time that you just know, you start to just pick it up at random. I would say it took me a couple of years to be able to do that. I definitely didn't do it in the first couple of years. I would definitely have issues where I'm like, oh, that's definitely a different color. Doesn't look good at all. Only use the cups also. It's just so easy. Yeah, I would assume that using those cups is awesome, you guys. Like I said, unless you need more powder, then it wouldn't be an issue. I remember when you couldn't even grip anything with your hand, and I told you I'd come help you, and you wouldn't let me. But yeah, your work ethic sucks. Yeah, no, I mean, I continued to work to get the things done. It was car show season, not car show season. That was in November. It was winter wheel season. So for dealerships, I do a bunch of work for dealerships. They'll bring me pallets of wheels, to like OEM wheels, just to do in black. They put snow tires on them and sell them to their customers as package deals with cars. And I remember, that was November. So that would be right in the exact time that I'm getting all these wheels from all these dealerships. And I just kept working. I worked one-handed. I did less than half the work that I could normally do in a day. I just worked as much as I could with my right hand. And the thing it sucked is I broke my dominant hand, or I hurt my dominant hand. So it was even worse. What is a good gun to use for a beginner who has never coated? I love this Hyper Smooth. You can buy this Hyper Smooth 02. I believe you can buy the basic one for $500 now. Probably great. I'd love to tell you guys that my gun comparison videos are all done and I can tell you definitively what to buy in each price range, but until those are done, I don't really know. I can only really suggest this. Depends on what your budget is. If you can spend $1,500, $1,600, get a Colo. If you look around on the internet a little bit, they're about $1,500 to $1,600 shipped. I've been told that the new Columbia, or the new Cool Coat, is absolutely amazing. The brand new one, it's I think $2,000. I have no experience with it. I'm just going off what a couple other people that I know fairly well have said. So, and the guy from Columbia who I talked to on the phone seemed to think it was pretty great too, but he's also the guy who sells them. So, draw your own conclusions. Ike Navat, hey, what's up, man? Colton's dad can't post it, apparently, YouTube policy. Sorry guys, I'm catching up on all these. When are you going to do the gun comparison video? Have something to say about the Cool Coat 3.0 DPW? So no, not yet. I will have something to say about the new Cool Coat HD, but not until I do the gun comparison. And we're going to start actually recording. I've actually done a little bit of stuff with the guns already, but I'm not going to start any of the actual recording process until I'm going to start at the end of this week. But it's going to take me, I'm guessing, almost a full month to get all the videos and stuff out. It's comparing what was going to be 4 guns has turned into 7. And the way that I have to do this is it's hard. It's really complicated. So I'm gonna have to do, multiple parts with each gun, factory settings versus what I think are the better settings, different tips. I mean, there's a ton of variables. So I appreciate your guys' patience with it. I know it sucks, and I'm working on it. I promise you. So, Colton's dad, peace out, man. My Gemma has a red and black hose with large feed tube. I would use one of those canisters. I actually don't know. So it's gonna vary from gun to gun, like what you can use, different canisters. I'm not necessarily saying use this one. They sell fluidizing hoppers. The fluidizing hopper you use pretty much the exact same way as you use the box feed hose wise. So trying to think. Let me see if I can check on this other part real quick. It's getting close. I did want to mention, since I got all you guys here, well, I don't know how many people are even in here now, honestly, but most of you guys know I'm doing a giveaway for 500, and I think it's 502 piece Pro Kit from High Temp Masking. See if I can do this without pouring these all out. It's a full plug kit, an absolute must have. Like if you're a powder coater and don't have a plug kit, you're killing yourself. The advantages to using a plug kit, I use bolts on a lot of things, and I still use my plug kits every single day. I'm doing a giveaway of one of these. I kind of mentioned in the last video how you enter is just comment. Any of you guys that are in here now commenting here, you're automatically entered. Any video that I post in the month of June, if you post on a comment on there, you're automatically entered. Like I said, it doesn't mean post 50 comments in a row on one post. But if you go around to the different videos and comment on those, give them a thumbs up while you're there just to increase the likes so more people see them. You're automatically entered. You can also go to my Instagram, it says @unknowncoatings. And if you comment on the picture of this kit, which I'll be posting, there's already one there, but I'll be posting them throughout the week or throughout the month. That also enters you into it. So, and then I'm just gonna do an online giveaway just during a live video, whatever, so you guys can see it all. Let's see, George, thanks for this stream. Keep the videos coming in. Best powder coating information on YouTube. Hey man, I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know how long you've been in the stream, but I started off the stream by basically saying I'm gonna do 3 videos a week and a live stream, so essentially 4 videos every week. I'm gonna try to do the streams every Sunday. I just know as summer goes on, I gotta travel down to Vegas a few times. That's definitely gonna limit my ability to do the live stream unless you guys just I can sit and do a Q&A by the pool or whatever. My parents live in Vegas. I go down to visit. That's the reason I'm down there. I don't have like a weird gambling issue or anything wild. When are we gonna get more dog content? I don't know, man. You can record some. It's hard. My dogs, now that it's hot, my dogs don't like hanging out in the hot. So they're in my air-conditioned showroom instead. Besides magnesium, what other metals do you recommend to be careful with when it comes to paint strip? Brass, bronze, copper. Copper's a weird one because copper, it really depends on the type of copper. If you don't know, there's all different variances of each of the types of metal. Magnesium's the sketchy one. Bronze, brass are both pretty sketchy. Paint strip will go after brass pretty quickly. It goes after bronze. Cast bronze goes after that pretty quickly. Admittedly, you're probably not going to be powder coating any cast bronze things. I can't imagine that's a reality for most powder coaters. Same with brass. Magnesium's just the one you got to be careful on. The problem with magnesium is it's sketchy. Like it's just it's a fire hazard. The chemical stripper is not going to cause a fire. It just eats it. But magnesium just has so many negative properties. For the one value that it has is that it's light. That's it. It's not good at anything else. So I don't know why people are so excited about it. Definitely the best powder content I have seen. Well, good. Glad you guys like my videos. If you guys have suggestions too, for like how-to videos, be sure to put them in. I have a couple that I've been working on and I just haven't had a ton of motivation to do it. JS Coatings, I'll be in Vegas the weekend of October 4th. Scored some Raiders tickets. Nice. Yeah, I just drove, last time I was down there, man. That the stadium, was it Reliant Field or something? It's pretty wild. It's cool at night, especially because you can see the reflection of the city. They built the whole thing out of, I think it's all windows, but it's all like reflective black regardless. And you can see the reflection of the city, the skyline on it, which is pretty cool. Make sure to get more dog content for the people. Mickey, you're the only person who asked for dog content. Do you pull silicone plugs before curing? Depends. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. There are certain valve covers where I think it's, or certain projects I should say, mostly valve covers where I think it's ideal. But if it's a risk that I'm going to touch the powder coated surface with anything, whether it be my hand, finger, touch with a plug, I don't. I just leave it in. I might let it get a partial cure and then pull out some of them, just because it's not worth the risk of accidentally bumping something, in my opinion. I always make sure that you use clean plugs too. You don't ever want to stick a powder coated plug down into a threaded area, because oftentimes what will happen is when it cures, it actually pops that piece off of the silicone. It will stick to your part, and then it's a pain in the ass to get out. I mean, it truly sucks. Do I polish? No. I have a polisher, but I don't use it for much. I work pretty closely with a local plating shop who does most of my polishing for me. After I found your channel, I went back and watched all your videos. Give Bentley and Molly a pat for me. You got it, George. Yeah, Bentley just came and stuck his head out here. I don't know if you heard that I was talking about him, but they're both in there just hanging out in the AC like I should be doing because I'm fat. But how can you tell what is magnesium or aluminum in wheels? Scott. So most magnesium stuff in America is marked. It has a little MG logo that's in trying to think how many sides are actually on that. Is it 6 sides? I don't know. It's in a little shape. I think should be 6 sides. Older stuff is not marked. The weight is usually a pretty good tell as far as whether or not something's magnesium, but the way to tell when you put it in your chemical stripper is it foams immediately. The second that the chemical stripper, it's the methylene chloride that hits it, it foams, and it's really obvious. It's not is that foaming? I can't really tell. It's obvious, like it's very much foaming. That stuff would be magnesium. So the other big thing with magnesium, you guys, I'm sure most of you know that super dirty. It's a terribly dirty metal in the manufacturing process, so it needs outgassed for about twice as long as aluminum, like similar aluminum parts. So just something to keep in mind. If you outsource your 24 karat gold stuff, but do you ever see yourself getting a setup to do it? It's 22 karat gold, McKay, just so you know. But no. It's funny. I offered the guys who do my plating are kind of funny. They won't do wheel stuff for anybody else but me. I don't know. It's because I've been dealing with them for so long. I have a lot of gold. I deal with gold a lot. All my parts are gold plated. I offered to upgrade their tank at my expense because I wanted to do some parts that were slightly bigger than they currently have the capability to do. I looked at the tanks a little bit and I was like, oh, well, we just got to do this. We got to add, an anode cathode scenario. Shouldn't be too much more money. And I did not account for the, what is called liquid gold. It's gold suspended in a solution that allows for the plating. Their current gold tank typically will hold anywhere from about $4,800 to $6,000 worth of gold solution. To upgrade in size to what I wanted to do to be able to gold plate the parts that I wanted, you would have anywhere from about $13,000 to $15,000 worth of gold solution sitting there, which, you're going to use the gold solution. It's not like you're not making money on it, but it's a lot of money to just have sitting in the process. So the tank and everything to upgrade it, I think anodes, cathodes, all that shit, I was only going to be into it like $400. But when he was like, oh, it could be like $15,000 more, it's like, I'll just stick with what I can get gold plated now, which is a lot. Anybody who actually knows me knows how much gold stuff I have. So I obviously, I deal with it a lot and get a lot done. Is it a good idea to outgas right after and then sandblast to save time? I personally go acid, neutralization, rinse out, sandblast, outgas, and then I go back and sandblast it, but it like in a very quick way. I'm just like hazing over it basically, just to make sure that there's no contaminants. That's worked incredibly well for me. I thought the idea of having stuff potentially on the outside of your part and then heating it up, when you heat it up, the pores expand, and when they cool down, they contract, and they can pull powder. They can pull stuff into them. And to me, it wasn't worth the hassle of that. I don't think you'd be saving any extra time with it necessarily. Depends on how your process is. While I'm working on stuff, if I'm spraying parts traditionally, not during the stream, if I have, parts in the oven, I also have parts in the stripper, parts in the blasting cabinet, just so that I'm constantly working on an array of parts. If you only have like one set of wheels to go through, and you're not in a crazy time crunch, do it however it works best for you. I'm the last person that's going to tell somebody how to do something if they have a process that already works for them. I offer advice. I try to offer the best advice I can. I believe all the advice that I offer is good, but it's not good enough that I would try to convince other people to do other stuff, if that makes sense. I'm going to pull this valve cover real quick. And I'm going to go check on something. My dog just made a weird sound. Do that real quick. I don't mean to ditch you guys, but all right, it really just turns out it was my dogs playing. When this cools down a little bit, I'll grab the camera and get this in some better light, but it came out exactly how I was hoping. So Let's see if I can get some more of these questions. We can start looking at wrapping this thing up. Good content just got here. Not sure if someone asked it already, but I had to start with powder coating Harbor Freight gun. My recommendation, honestly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is to throw that gun in the garbage immediately and go buy something else. That gun stands no chance of producing anything of any sort of decent quality. And I'm not saying that as a hater. I'm not saying there's anything. I'm saying that gun has no potential, just none. Go out and find yourself a gun for a few $100s if you can, if you're in a position to do that. You're never going to get a second coat to go on with that unless you spray it like fully hot. You're never going to get away from Faraday areas. You're never going to stop that weird shooting of weird powdered clumps that come out. That's always going to be a thing with that gun. So get a different gun. Stay away from anything that Eastwood makes. JS and I are on the same page with that. Stay away from anything Eastwood. How do you remove chrome from wheels to powder coat them, and how do you prep them, or how do you prep them for coating? So I covered this already, but I'll go over it again. I'm just saying that for anybody who's watching this video has already heard me answer this, watching this video after it goes up. If they're brand new wheels, I'm willing to blast them and coat them. The blasting removes the chromium, the shiny part on the outside, exposing the nickel underneath. That's what I'm willing to powder coat. If they're pitted, flaking, sheeting, which is where it literally comes off in big sheets, I take them to my chrome plater. They put them in nitric acid. Nitric acid is great for aluminum wheels, does not work on any steel parts, just something to keep in mind. But it will remove all of the chromium, the shiny part you see on the outside, nickel and copper, which are typically used in the plating process. Then I just sandblast them from there. They can also, any chrome plating shop can reverse the chrome process and pull everything back off. So it's another option for you. You're gonna have to pay somebody else to do that. I can't even get the permits anymore in the state to do that. They're not issuing permits to do chrome plating here at all. That's why the plating shops that still exist are gonna stay in business for a really long time. There's literally, you can't even add to the competition. So, ask for them try blasting a chrome bicycle rim with ground glass. Yeah, so the problem, you're gonna have two issues. Ground glass, for one, is not very hard. So when it hits a hard surface, it just turns into dust, probably the thing that you're experiencing. Chromium, the shiny part of chrome that you see, is incredibly, incredibly hard. It's not the hardest metal on the planet, but it's one of the hardest metals. So when you hit chromium with glass, the glass is just turning into dust every time. Even some of the more aggressive products, you can definitely etch chrome with green diamond works, aluminum oxide, some of those things. But for me, it's just you have it stripped. On a bike rim, that's going to be steel, so you're not going to be able to go to nitric acid. You're just going to have it stripped another way. The chrome process reversed, essentially, is the generic way of explaining what happens. But that's basically all it is. Been coating on the side for a couple years, really been taking off lately. Thinking about quitting my 6-figure day job to coat full time. Surfer, super, Ryan, Maddie, how old are you? Not trying to get all up in your business, but how old are you before I answer that question? Yeah, JR, man, I'm not here to poop on anybody's dreams, but that Harbor Freight gun is, I use Harbor Freight stuff all the time. That powder coating gun is the worst product they make by far. So I don't have anything positive to say. Color Factory, hey, no problem, man. Glad I can help. 26 with a wife and kids. So this is the best I can tell you. You have a good job that makes good money. Are you getting so much work that you can still live the life that you have right now? Because you have a wife and kids, right? So you can't, it's not like I can tell you to move into some crappy apartment and not spend much money and, chase your dream kind of a thing. Like you have like an established life. Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about knowing when it's the right time to step out of your situation and into a new one, and the level of comfort that you have to have in doing that and the risk involved. But you're 26, man, so you have you have years that you can literally waste right now. I mean, if you're making six figures, I don't know where you live, six figures in one state versus six figures in another are two very, drastically different things, obviously. But if you live a comfortable life now and you think that you can support that on powder coating, then do it. If not, keep working your six-figure job for now. Work more hours powder coating if you can. Like if you're in a position to put more hours in, work-life balance is a huge thing, especially if you have kids. If you have a tolerant wife, you might be able to get away with some, but kids, you're gonna have to give them some attention at some point. So if you can do more work and sleep an hour less a night or something, see what you can do. Or if your job, like I don't know how many hours you work at your regular job, if you can cut those hours back a little bit and try to make up for it in the powder world and make that money back in the powder world, maybe you can go that route. I don't know if you're salary or hourly or whatever. There's obviously lots of variables, but I mean, I started powder coating during a recession. I started doing this as a job, like in the middle of the 2008 crash. So when I did that, I intentionally went after rich people as a customer base. I went, I advertised a lot among people who lived in Park City. I know a lot of you guys are from Utah, so you don't know. So Park City is kind of the yuppie upscale version in Utah. That's where the rich people all hang out. Lots of celebrities go there. I'm sure you guys have heard of Sundance Film Festival, where all the celebrities come out and they watch crappy movies, or potentially crappy movies. That's here in Park City, right? 25, 30-minute drive from me. So I went after that because rich people aren't as affected by the economy as a lot of people. I know a lot of people have started powder coating during this whole COVID thing because they were worried about it. So it's all about self-awareness. It's about knowing what you can and can't do. And maybe you don't need to make six figures. Like maybe your life's comfortable enough that you could dial some of it back and you can do less in money. I think I had time I could make even more money than my day job. I drive a truck for FedEx 10 hours a day, then 5 hours coating, 12 hours on the weekend, been doing that for 3 months straight. I mean, look, if the growth is there, if you have the product to support it, I mean, go for it. Like I said, the risk with you is you have a wife and kids. Like you have people that you take care of. I don't know if your wife works, but like you have kids at a bare minimum. You have an income that you expect that has to be there, kind of a thing, because it's already established. But if you're 26, to me, it's worth the risk. It's worth the risk of just like diving in, because let's say it doesn't work. You can go back and get another job making the same amount of money. You could probably go back to FedEx, assuming that you leave on even moderately decent terms. So, I think a lot of people are scared, man. A lot of people are scared about diving in and just trying things, and because they don't want a failure. They're either worried about like their parents judging them, or their family judging them, like a wife or whatever, brother, sister, whatever. But it's like, go out there and, even if you fail, you went out there and you tried it and learned, and maybe it didn't go great, but maybe you'll have to try it, if you go about it again a second time, you have that basis to work from. It's just, it sucks, man. Like I have friends that are working their job and they make pretty good money, they make six-figure money, and they're miserable every day. Every day they hate their job, and I'm just like, wouldn't it be worth it just to make a little bit less money and not hate your job? It's like that matters in the end. It's, I see all these guys that like kill themselves for this job that doesn't give a shit about them, and it's heartbreaking for me to see, because they think that my life is super easy and they don't maybe understand all the hours that I work. And my life's pretty good. If you look at my life from the outside, like I have a pretty good life. I don't complain about much. But it's, more people just need to get out there and get away from the comfort that their life currently has. Because when I started doing that more, even before I started doing this as a business, getting out of your comfort zone and like trying to do new things makes you feel so much better, even if you fail. Like learning from that, to me at least, makes me feel way better. That's part of the reason that I was doing the Motivation Monday things, just because the Motivation Monday things are speakers that I believe the things that they are saying, and I wanted other people to hear them because it's the way that I feel as well. And hearing it from me doesn't really matter compared to hearing it from established experts. I have Jordan Peterson, one of the greatest clinical psychologists of our time. Gary Vaynerchuk, one of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time, probably the greatest, ultimately. So if you get a chance, maybe go back to listen to some of those. There's or if you just want to look up, there's Gary Vaynerchuk's. If you type in Gary Vaynerchuk 13 minutes, it'll come up, or Gary V 13 minutes. That the one that will come up that I absolutely love. I've listened to it. Honestly, I've listened to it hundreds of times. Super motivational. Definitely gets you on the right track. What's your wife think? Wife doesn't mind now. First she just thought it was me avoiding her. Now she handles some of the social media stuff. That's the thing, man. If you can get your family in on that, I mean, honestly, it's if you can get, if you have a supportive spouse or whatever, supportive parent, you know, my parents were incredibly supportive, indirectly, but incredibly supportive of my choices. They've always been that way. Even if they didn't agree with them, they were still supportive, which is awesome to me. If you have a family member who can see you going through the paces and is willing to help you, like, that's awesome. So if your wife is willing to do the social media stuff, she can at least see, you know, the business coming in, or she can see if it slows. She can maybe make some adjustments, especially if she's working on the social media side of it, to help deal with some of that. I mean, if you're confident in the work that you're doing and you can get more work, I mean, look at it like this. If you're not working that job every day, 10 hours a day, if you spent 4 of those hours truly out marketing yourself to local businesses, or, you know, whether it be shops, motorcycle shops, dealerships, you can pull those customers in. All you have to do is be able to deliver a decent product and a good enough product for their standard, whatever their standard might be, in a timeline that they're accepting of. You know, like, what more could you ask for than that kind of a thing? Like, if you're a dealership and I'm like, hey dealership, I can give you gloss black wheels in 24 hours for this amount. And they're like, oh, well, these guys were charging me the same amount, but they were taking, 4 days or whatever. You've already got them beat. All you have to be able to do is show them some work. So, I mean, I drove around in, I don't even remember what year it was, 2010, 11, trying to get customers. And I just drove around to different shops that I thought would be, whether it be automotive shops, random wheel and tire places, motorcycle, ATV side-by-side stuff, was picking up in that range. So I started going to them, and I had products with me. I had stuff with me. And I had pretty well established social media. So if you really wanted to look at pictures, things of that nature, you could go that route as well. So I think as long as you're decent at marketing yourself and just put yourself out there, I mean, it sounds so corny to be like, make yourself vulnerable to people and like see what that offers you. But when you see how much potential that you really have in doing, like when you do that and see the potential and stuff that comes back from it, there's literally nothing better. Like I said, it sounds super corny and cliche, but there's literally nothing better. Super nervous, have the whole white picket fence thing going on, house, new cars, Harley. Yeah, sell off. I mean, look, I'm reading this right here and you're like, oh, I got all these toys, whatever, like stuff in your life. Like, that's all material stuff. If you want to grow a business, sell all that stuff. Sell all that stuff, quit your job, you have extra money, you have a cushion just to sit on. You know what I mean? So, I know that everybody can't just quit their job. I'm not going to sit here and tell you everybody should quit their job. That's where the self-awareness comes in. It's the understanding of, money and stuff. Oh, there's questions that I missed. That's the understanding of money and stuff back and forth. Like, if you understand and you're willing to risk it, and if your wife's supportive, just go at it, man. Like, sell the Harley, have a few, I don't know how much your Harley's worth, depends, but have a few extra $1,000 to play with as a cushion. Don't use it for powder coating stuff. Just let it sit there in case you have a bad month of powder coating or whatever. Let's see. I'm a retired military. Sorry, I'm going to go back, Scott, to this question. I'm retired military, 100% VA disabled, and work as a federal civilian. My family has all passed away. My father left me his machine shop. I expanded to Powdercoat server, fiber laser, and CO2 laser. This will be my retirement gig. I recently added CNC router and CNC plasma cutting. Damn, all right. Doing all the things. Wait, did you? Oh, you're just saying. Okay. I thought you were going to ask a question. Sorry, I was looking for your question. How much experience would you suggest having before opening a coating business? What are the key factors you consider essential prior to starting? Man, you just I don't think it's a matter of having a certain level of experience. because I think there's people, I mean, no offense, I have people that powder coat around me who have been doing it for years and are still wretched at it. Or it's not that they're bad at it, maybe they just don't care. You know, it's probably more that they don't care. I think if you can put out a good product and you can warranty it, for me, my warranty is 5 years. That's been a go-to for most people, even though I don't have to warranty things ever. People knowing that you're that confident in your stuff, having consistent pricing or consistent turnaround, especially when you have established customers like dealerships and stuff, I mean, that matters. So for me, it's not so much experience. It's just a matter of like confidence in your abilities. You know, if you get that right away and you have a marketable product, go sell it. The market, you know, Gary Vaynerchuk talks all the time that, you know, people don't decide, you know, like haters and outside factors don't decide whether or not you're successful. Your product decides whether or not you are successful. So good product sells itself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't advertise anywhere anymore, and I turn down more work than I take every day. You know, so it's all about finding that balance for yourself. Dude, if you're miserable at FedEx, then I like even more quit. Like, it's just, I can't even imagine working a job that I was miserable at. I can't imagine working for anybody else at this point, just because I've now done this for way too long. But I can't imagine having a job that I hated. Like, people think because I work so many hours that I'm miserable, and I'm like, dude, I love my job. I love this job. There are little things that I might complain about for 20 minutes that day, but 2 hours later, I forget that I was even complaining about it, you know, like little stuff. So if you're miserable, man, I'm telling you right now, like, life's way too short to worry about. I mean, life's way too short to sit and be miserable in a job because you're worried about the next step in your life. You know, just take the step. Like, I don't want to sound like some creepy motivational speaker, but at some point you just got to get out of your comfort zone and say, F it, like, I'm going to go do this, especially with a supportive wife, dude. Like, that, what more can you ask for? Good Q&A, need to be up in 6 hours, out for the night. Hey, no problem. What's your go-to gloss black? So, I use Super Mirror Black. Sherwin-Williams is Powdura. Apparently they have two different ones, but one is only good for outdoor, or one is good for outdoors, one is only good for indoors, is what I should say. So just make sure that you're clear about what you're going to be getting. The other option is IFS Super Wet Black is amazing. For me, they're both the same, but this is not now. This was Mirror Black from Sherwin-Williams Powdura, before we put Silver Flake on it, obviously. I can go, this place is literally 3 blocks from my shop that I can go pick up 55-pound boxes of this for under $200. It's $193 including the tax. So to get 55, you know, you're talking couple dollars a pound at that point. So it's awesome. IFS, about the same price, but they have to ship it to me. So I just choose to go with this locally. Satin black is a tough one for me. There's very few satin blacks that I like. Card black or blackjack from Prismatic are pretty good. Big box stuff, I've not been super stoked on any of them. IFS satin black is the one that I choose to have in quantity here. I tend to try to push people away from satin black. I think satin black, in my opinion, looks incredibly cheap on almost everything. And if you can work them down to like IFS matte black 2, which is my favorite, if you can work them down to that, it's awesome. Oh, another good one is lava black, and I can never remember who makes lava black. But if you Google lava black powder coat, that is a satin black that's very consistent and pretty good looking. It smells terrible. It's one of the worst smelling powders I've ever used. And there are some issues. If you over cure it, it will definitely turn gray, like a very strange looking gray. So just be weary of that, I guess. Got to go to bed at 1:30 a.m. Bunch of weenies over here. I'm just playing, guys. Just playing. Thanks, Tom. Looking forward to the future videos. I'll check the cover out tomorrow. Hard to see you in the background. Yeah, I guess I should show this because I'm about to get off of here too at 10:30. 2 hours seems long enough. What do you do? Let me answer this real quick. What do you do when someone comes in with 2 very small parts, like less than a square foot of material you can't charge enough to make it worth, can you? I have a shop minimum. that's been my saving grace, and my shop minimum has increased over the years. It started as $20 when I was just doing this out of my garage, kind of just for, I mean, it was, I guess, a business at the time, but it was still like, I was doing enough wheel stuff that I could do little jobs like that and just throw them in the oven at the same time, and it wasn't a big deal. Now my shop minimum is $45. You can definitely make it worth your time to do that, in my opinion. And, you know, like, it's going to vary from location to location to some degree, obviously, but for $45, I'll powder coat your 2 little brackets black. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's in some crazy color where I got to order powder, you know, I'll definitely make it work. Do you ever? Yeah, I've done engine blocks. Man, I've probably done 30 engine blocks in my time. Both ones that were just going to be decorative. Done some tables for people, the base of like coffee tables, and then I've done. I mean, I don't even know how many small block Chevys I've done in Chevy Orange, but it's a lot. And I know that it's very scary for people to do those for a number of reasons. What I suggest is get your block, have it hot tanked if you don't have the equipment to do that. Get all the crap out of it you can. Mask off. There's some variables, because if it's going to be machined versus if it's not going to be machined. If it's going to be machined, do everything you can before machining. Powder coat it, then have it all machined. That way you're kind of minimizing the extra work that you have to do leading up to that. If it's already been machined and they just want the outside of it orange, you've got a crappy masking project on your hands, basically. One of the things that I have done in the past is I've went and bought the head gaskets for those same blocks, masked it all, and then put the head gaskets in and drop bolts down to actually hold tape down. Because when you're doing cast iron a lot and even big aluminum blocks, there's so much time in the oven that the tape will tend to pull. The head gasket just stops that from happening. And you can reuse the head gaskets multiple times. Like if you're doing small block Chevys, the same head gaskets pretty much for everything. So, and then, 4 cylinders, it's kind of the same way. I've used head gaskets. I've used cylinder heads to do, like, to hold down tape, like garbage cylinder heads or whatever. I put them on an engine stand and then powder coat them, and then the oven that I'm using now is off the ground a few inches, so I just use an engine hoist to lift it up on the stand and set it in there. The engine stand's all metal, has metal wheels. It can go through the oven just fine. So let me show you guys this valve cover real quick. I'm going to see... cooled down enough that I can play with it. Oh, it's still uncomfortably warm on the back. One of those ones that didn't feel hot, and then all of a sudden I started touching it more. Actually, here, I can grab the camera and move the camera. It'll probably be easier. So, as you can see when we were talking about this Ghost logo, you can see right here that this is the area. Let me grab this other light here. So you got the sparkle on the whole thing, and I didn't do a great job coating this. This was really just to show you. So this area down in here, I didn't get enough powder in, and that's fine. But you can see the logo. This valve cover is not great. It's been ground down numerous times. But the logo is like a ghost type logo. Like, it's not super obvious, but it is there. You could hide this, like I said, even more if you just wanted to clear coat the whole thing. It would hide it even more. But this is silver sparkle over mirror black. As you see, it gets a super badass flake to it. This is the best silver colored sparkle you can get, just from Prismatic. Or it is from Prismatic, but it's the best one no matter what. Adam's Gold is the other one that I use that obviously is gold. So that, I don't know, that's pretty much it for that, I'm glad that one worked out, because I definitely ruined the first one, and I feel real bad about it, or something. Yeah, sorry it took so long. I should have showed that way earlier. Andrew, the only things to worry about on doing an engine block are things that you would technically worry about with doing like a valve cover, is getting sand into places that you don't want it. You're not going to worry about like warping a block or anything wild, if that's what you're asking, but you're definitely going to be worried about sand. So just make sure, if you're bringing me a block and it's a used block, I'm going to have it hot tanked, I'm going to have it sandblasted. I'm probably going to get it hot tanked again, and then mask it all, powder coat it all, and then get it cleaned again before it goes off to machining. That's literally the best way to do it. So what type of vinyl can you use under clear powder coat for like Brembo calipers? Oracal 651, with the exception of a few colors. Can't use red, can't use yellow, can't use orange, can't use white. You can use silver, black, a lot of the blues, purples I've never had issues with. It's more or less just finding the ones that work color-wise. So you can test this by, if you just get their color catalog that has pieces of vinyl in it, you can put it in your oven and turn it to 400 degrees and see what ones start to change color and which ones become an issue. The white becomes clear, and then will eventually turn kind of a brownish, like an off-white color. So the red gets a weird like brick red color as soon as it gets warm, so that one kind of sucks. But yeah, I mean, that's more just like a learning thing. And I have a list somewhere. I know I have a list written down, or I have a catalog with them circled, the ones that do work. I'll see if I can get that uploaded maybe to my website or somewhere that everybody else can see it. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. Like I said, don't forget to enter to win the plug kit, 502-piece plug kit from High Temp Masking. As you can see, their logos are everywhere in my shop now. They're on my oven, workbench. We're gonna be working with them more in the future as well. So I have a couple other products I'm gonna be giving away. I know Hudson, I think it's like Hudson Fine Goods. I never remember the name of this, but they're doing some custom apron, or they're offering me aprons, and we're gonna do some custom aprons for people, work aprons. They're like shop aprons, and they're awesome. Wax canvas, they're the best. So got some other stuff doing the giveaway. Should be the best. 5 minutes left. I don't know what's left, even on motorcycle engines. No, so I've actually, I guess if we were talking about motorcycle engines, I could have made this even simpler. I do motorcycle engines all the time for 2 local companies. I do them probably 2-3 times a month for each company. So no issues at all. Decent masking, that's the biggest issue. They're cast iron, obviously, and you're doing like the finned part of them. Just make sure that you're getting good coverage down, or they're gonna rust. So that's a bummer. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. It's been like 2 hours. Sorry to ditch you. If you guys have more questions that I didn't get to here, post them in the comments. I'm gonna go back through all these comments probably tomorrow at some point and kind of get over this. I'll include more video of this in the next video I upload too, just so you guys can all kind of see the finished product on this. And yeah, we'll go from there. If you guys have more how-tos, let me know. Post them in the comments, whatever. I'll try to get some more how-tos made for you guys. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're here and not subscribed. Give that video a like as well. Thanks, guys.